Are you here? BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Here, we're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Tremont Diggs, pick six. It's coming. They see it. Knocked away. Oh, Gregory. Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
Why, hello, Cowboys Nation. We're now live and in the building, TGIF, on our new time. As we said before, we're moving things up a little bit. 8:30 p.m. Central moving forward. We're being a little bit more uniform, if you will, with our Wednesday show. You know, y'all want to do things on Friday nights. I feel that, you know, and trying to help everybody and get them in here and do what we got to do. And I'm over here because my vape's going down on me. I'm in trouble. Somebody's loud on the back end. Is it me? It ain't me. Is it me?
That's you.
It ain't me, is it?
That's you.
Is it me? They can't be me.
Is it me? They can't be me.
Not me.
Not me. I'm a mute.
But I did mute myself.
So I don't know what's going on.
That's really weird.
Go
ahead and talk, Go. Let me figure out what the hell's going on with my damn mic.
Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good night. I think we got it. It's Sensei. So when I mute him, it goes off. So I'm not sure what Sensei has going on, but that's the culprit.
What you, man? Boy, you listen, Commanders fans. Look, you listen, Commanders fans come in here, and they can't figure it out. Oh
look,
my
God! I muted it and it goes off. I'm not sure what's going on. I
was like, yo, far be it from me from messing up. Now, look, one thing I'm like, oh well, maybe I had the YouTube up on my phone or something. I was like, but I ain't got it up on my phone. Come on, Sensei. Come on.
Try to drop out and come. We'll add you right back in. Maybe that's what
you got a headset in. What you doing over there? You on a computer? You on the phone? What you doing? Caleb, you know,
outnumbered now, Caleb. What's up, bro? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Caleb. It was
How you doing? I got it.
It was a little 3-on-3 action. Oops. You know, and now here you are. Let's see. Okay, all right, boom. We got Cash in the building. Can we grab the other? I can't grab him. Oh, my computer does. No, add him in there. So now that I know it's not me, with all
we're
the
good
other
now.
stuff that
I
was
don't know
happening.
what it was.
I knew what happened. My iPad, I used my editing and stuff on my iPad, and my headphones were connected to my iPad.
Okay, that's right. You know what?
It's all good.
Got it figured out. That's all that matters. So I'm going to rewind. 8:30 p.m. Central. Now is what we're doing. Uniform with our Wednesday shows. As always, Cam's in the building, delivering the midday as well. If y'all have not been tuning into the midday with Mass and Stevie J, man, y'all are missing out on that side too. Make sure you're subbed. Hit the notification bell so when you see they hit that midday, you might catch a little midday Mass, if you will. And there's a T-shirt. And shout out to our guy over there, Gorilla Tees, doubled down and said he's throwing an extra shirt in. What are we doing for Cowboys Nation in this game, Cam?
Well, if you go on, and both Mass and I have tweeted it, we'll tweet it again tomorrow. If you give us the exact score, you have to tell us what the Cowboys are going to score and what Washington's going to score. And if you get the exact score, you're getting a T-shirt from Twisted Gorilla.
Boom. Yeah, so they're sponsoring it. We're sponsoring it on that side. And Gorilla stepped up to the table, said, "You know what? Let's make it too." So you get to go over there. If you're not familiar with what they do, at Twist Gorilla over there on Twitter, go check it out, man. They have some fire shirts. If y'all saw me post in the offseason the Salary Cap Boys shirt, amongst other things, fantastic work that they do over there. So with the particulars out of the way, I mean, I guess we could be like the Washington Commanders official Twitter. It's Dallas. Oh, I'm sorry, not Dallas. It's Washington week. So
because the Huskies are playing tonight. Just to make sure,
the W.
I have a Washington shirt on because the Dogs are playing tonight.
Hey, Sam, you can't drop it here, Sam. You have to go find the tweet from Mass. Make sure you're following Mass or you're following Cam. You have to go over on Twitter and then drop it over there. Real quick, though. Hilarious. Yeah, real quick. Let me lay out the red carpet here for our guys that have I've been rocking with throughout this week. Of course, me and DT, in case y'all didn't catch, we had I joined up on his channel and we did a show during the off season. Of course, Cash, I bumped into you as well earlier this week. Doing the Commanders asked me to come over and do something. Shout out to Deuce, and of course Caleb. And for those that are in the Twitter Spaces with me and us at Rock, Caleb's definitely been around the way and been rocking and supporting. So what better way than to bring these three guys on for this particular game Sunday? So I'm gonna go left to right on my screen. DT, how you doing this Friday, man?
Extremely blessed for this opportunity, man. Anytime, just talk about the game. Don't matter what it is. We all love football at the end of the day. And, one thing about it, nothing better than the great NFC East rivalry between Washington and Dallas.
This is a big 10-4. And I got Cash who's out here in these social media streets. While he's at work, he's killing two birds, one stone. Cash, how you doing, man?
Appreciate y'all having me, man. I understand I got the blue on, but don't get it twisted, man. It's hail to the Commanders, man. You don't get it twisted, but I
was gonna say something too.
Yeah, I was gonna let it ride.
I knew when I came on the show and had blue on, I was like, I know they're gonna say something, but this is just the uniform. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Fair enough.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe an undercover fan.
Maybe he's like, let me just give it a trial run first before I decommit from Washington. Let me just put on the blue and see how I feel about it.
Fair enough. And of course, our guy Caleb's in the building as well. Caleb, how you doing, my guy?
Man, you already know, man. You already know. I'm repping. Right. I'm repping the old logo tonight. I'm repping it. I'm repping my squad. But no, shout out to Nick though. Great guy, great work to what you're doing next. Whatever you do in those spaces and what you do on YouTube, man, it's great, man. I support anybody who's doing that. It's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate it, man. Over here on Pick Six, man, we got a whole squad. Like I said, cameras in the building on Freestyle Fridays and doing the stuff during on the midday that we just launched this year. And it's super great. Midday Due Diligence is the name on the channel. And of course, man, we got Professor O. Speaking of which, what is Friday's show? What sponsor? What is the? Are we up L tonight? Where we at tonight? What's being sponsored here on the Friday show?
Yeah, so tonight it's a brand new one. Tonight's actually my first time having it, but it's an IPA from a brewery called, what are they called? Oscar Blues Brewery. Never heard of it, but it's Mutant X IPA. It's actually, I don't know if I can get the can on. It's not coming on, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
There you go. It has like a monster or something on it. It's good.
10-4. All right. Everybody's settled in. Everybody's got their likes in. Everybody's got the shares up. We know we got another guy in the background. Of course, we already had the link. It's posted. It's pinned. We're going to give you a chance to come up here. And what I think I'd like to do for us tonight if we get a heavy rotation of people coming up wanting to speak, let's let them ask a question on either side. Obviously, the Cowboys up top, Commanders down bottom. You can ask a question on either side because these guys got some pretty good people out there that follow them in the Twitter streets, and maybe they might have put the hootie hoo out to get some people over here. So we're going to definitely, whoever's coming up tonight, it'll be a little bit different. We're going to let you get some questions, kind of pivot through and go through that way. And I saw Crispy Bacon Man. I saw your post earlier say stage fright, whatever the case may be. Come on, man, you fam over here. Always tells you, man, you ain't got to put your camera up if you don't want to, man. Just talk and get up here and just do it, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't know if you'll like it till you try. And you don't have to show your face. There's an audio-only feature. You can ask a question, or you can just kick it, hang out for a little bit and say, I got 20 minutes. Let's just talk football. Let me ask the Washington fans some questions. Let me talk about how I feel about the game and then hop out. Or, like I said, just put it in the chat. But the invite's there. We do it every Friday. You're more than welcome to join. I'm sure these guys below got their start doing it maybe on their own, going with their own full show, or maybe joining something like this. So when the panel's there and the invite's there, take us up for it. You never know. Maybe you'll like it.
That part. Camber, I know it's going to be rough for you tonight with Washington on. You are definitely putting in the work, if you will.
I am. Yep. I've got an hour before. I was watching pregame stuff, streaming it from a local station up there in Seattle. And it'll come on here in about 45 minutes. And
I can see the anxiousness there. That's awesome watching it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we weren't good last year. We weren't good at all. We had our players that shined, but getting DeBoer from San Jose State, he has changed it around. My new quarterback is actually starting to enter some of the Heisman talk. He's leading the nation in passing. So it's kind of good to be a dog right now.
10-4. I'll tell you what, it's an interesting question because I haven't looked it up. And then, since we got some Washington guys here, I got Sam. What is the dichotomy of what a commander is? What did they roll out? Because I never really researched it or anything. So what is for the team base? What do y'all look at when they say commander? What are they building around that mascot now?
Oh, last time I checked, it's down to a pig and a dog right now. So you asking me the wrong guy to ask about who the commander is, man.
Oh.
I knew I needed to take a shot before that answer.
I didn't know because I just never looked it up or anything. I was like, okay, I'm sure they probably know Ash or Caleb.
Yeah.
No, Caleb, I know where you stand with this, but what's the commander? Anybody? What are they? What is the?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, like I guess it's the fact that like we're trying to take back over DC. Go ahead and get the whole fan base rally back up. A lot of us personally don't agree with it, but that's the team name, so that's who we're rocking with, and that's who we're rolling with. But at the end of the day, it's Washington for us, and it is the Skins. So
I just assumed it was a nod to politics, being there in the DMV area, being the commander in chief. Like that's kind of what I assumed it was, a nod to that.
That's what I did too.
They really based that name off the military in that area. That's what they really wanted to base it as. But right now, fans are, like DT said before, fans are voting on the mascot between if it's a dog or a hog, But as long as they do something creative and not nothing corny or cheesy, I'm cool with it. And,
so you guys are only voting on it now, though? You guys are only voting on it now? Y'all had a while to do this. That's
right.
It's down to the final two.
So they had like a little tournament. I mean, for me, from looking at the outside, right, it's got to be a hog, right? Is that where y'all are at, right? It's got to be a hog.
Yeah. It's pretty much down to all.
All right.
Go ahead. No, for me, Nick, it's kind of like you give honor to not only the present but to the past as well. So, but to make long story short, a lot of fans complain. You look at back in the Redskins days where it was the Hogs, the offensive line. If you kind of bring that old tradition back along with the new, and then you start winning games, you're going to bring the city back together again. So, I think Hogs will be like a nice tradition. It would give the term the old heads, some love, the Washington Redskins old days, fans that were fans that supported the team in the 80s, the 90s, even the 70s. So, and because there's some fans out there, but they just on the low a little bit because, you know, they really cared about that name.
No doubt. Real and quickly, and we'll get into the game. What was the name y'all were hoping for? If it wasn't the Commanders, was there a name that y'all were hoping for that it was going to be, or?
Red. I know that Red Wolf was one of them.
That name?
Right.
There was a couple. It was Red Wolves. Somebody said it could have been
Red Wolves,
Washington Hogs.
Yeah.
Red Tails was one of the considerations.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
DT, where are you at?
To the Tuskegee Airmen. That's
right.
what they. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC.
Yeah.
What was there a particular name you were looking at outside of the Commanders, or?
Yeah, for me it was either Red Wolves or the Red Tails, especially Red Tails. For me, being African American, and a lot of my family were in the Air Force. They fought in the wars and stuff like that. So I felt like that would have been something in my family lineage that honors them for what they did for our country.
10-4. Yeah,
I know that you.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was just gonna say, obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan, so your team name isn't that big of a deal to me. But there were two names that I was hoping they were gonna go with: Red Tails for the reasons that DT just mentioned, and also a name that kind of floated around originally but faded out quickly. I thought the Washington Warriors would have been a great name because you could have just kept the spear logo that you guys used to have and kind of go more of like the, you know, with that. I thought Washington Warriors sounds good. Like that would have been a good name.
He know what he's talking about, man.
Yeah, see, if they wasn't going to do the Warriors, and to me, I thought the brand name for me could have been like DC Red Tails. Like get rid from Washington and drop the DC on it, maybe, or whatever the case may be, or maybe even DC Red Wolves or whatever the case. That's what I kind of looked at. But that's neither here nor there. Just kind of want to get your guys' perspective as we're rolling into this thing and letting everything build up and get everybody in here. There might be some bets on the table if y'all wasn't over there in the space. Me versus 3. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. We got some bets. Oh, we're going to talk about it for sure.
I got one more question before we jump into the actual content. So you got a new name, new brand, all that, new uniforms. I'm a uniform guy. Like uniforms are a big issue for me with the Cowboys. I don't like how we have seafoam green. I don't like that our blues don't match. I got a whole list of reasons I don't like our uniforms.
I should have worn my seafoam hat.
You should have, yeah. So question to you guys, with the new uniform layout, now that you've had some time to process and see it in action, what do you guys think? Do you guys like it, hate it? Where are you at?
I love it. I love the new uniforms, man.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. The uniforms are very nice. I mean, it's just like you said. I mean, our fan base has dealt with a lot of controversy lately. You know, given a name change and the culture being so toxic and whatnot. But I feel like the uniforms is a very like slight way of trying to like change things. You know what I mean? They got new people in the front office and everything, but I personally love the all black jerseys. I think the all black jerseys are tough.
Okay.
I'm so jealous. I am. I'm
week,
so
right?
jealous that they get all these new uniforms and they do a change stars and it was like, oh, they put a line around the star.
I mean,
that's our change.
I was gonna say, watch it add some stars in there somewhere, right?
It was a line around the star.
Yeah, on the back of the jersey, on the collar, it's 3 stars, but it represents the 3 stars that they won. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
10-4.
You're wearing the black uniforms this week, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, just
All
like
right.
the John
I got
said, the all
my
white.
uniform conversation out of the
Fair. I was like, just like the
go.
John said, the all white. Now here they come with the all black. Apparently, the Eagles are going to do the black helmet against us. So, you know, when you play Dallas, it's a fashion statement game. Apparently, here in the old NFC East, and like for us, like we're not using our new ones till like the very last game, right? Is that if I'm not mistaken? Like,
right.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, we get something new, but no, just wait. It is what it is. But let's pivot over here into this thing. Obviously, we got a big matchup coming up on Sunday at noon Central, 1 Eastern time. Let me pivot over here. Cam, you're looking at this game. What are you looking at here heading into this thing? What kind of piques your interest?
Definitely our defense going against this offensive line there. The fact that the pressures that we've been able to put on so far this season, the fact that we are one of 3 teams that have held teams to less than 20 points so far, and the fact that Carson Wentz is not very mobile in that way, that I see that's going to be one of the biggest issues coming into this game.
Okay. For you, because we have already talked on the space heavily, so I'll let y'all get a couple of your things up there. What piques your interest here heading into this game Sunday?
There's a lot of things that pique my interest, but I'm really intrigued to see how the Cowboys defensive backs match up with the Washington receivers, because that's one of the things Washington does have a strength. Jahan Dotson is a guy that we all talked about a lot, heading into the draft. We were all fans of him, so the fact that they got him kind of sucks. And then obviously they have Scary Terry. He hasn't really went off against Diggs and the Cowboys, but he's still a top flight receiver, so any given Sunday he could have a big game. And then they have Curtis Samuel, who's having a big rebound year after last year where he dealt with some injuries. So, and that's not even mentioning Logan Ryan. They have a formidable receiving crew. It's nothing like what we just saw last week against the Giants, where really they had nobody that threatened you. Right. They have some weapons there, and that's one thing that Carson Wentz does do. While he doesn't have great pocket presence, he will air it out and throw it deep. So there's going to be some opportunities to see some interesting one-on-one battles. So I'm intrigued to see how our defensive backs match up with that, because we haven't really had any teams try to air it out on us yet this year, because Tampa went with a conservative game plan. Cincinnati couldn't even get snaps off in time with our pass rush. Obviously, Washington may have a little bit of that, but this is the first quarterback we're facing that will take chances downfield and just kind of the F it mentality and throw it. So I'm interested to see how that works.
And of course, real quick, I see the two guys that my Cooper doppelganger. I see that, and our guy Cole's Cowboys also in back studio. We'll get you up here in just a second. Be patient. I'm going to spin the same question down here to the Washington Commanders fans. What's the one thing that piques your interest heading into this game? And I'll go with DT, and then I'll get to Caleb. We'll see if Cash handles up his business there real quick. Go ahead, DT.
Well, one of the things I want to see from the Cowboys' perspective is how the offensive line fares against our defensive line. And we all know games are won in the trenches. Daron Payne, in a contract year, he is off to a great start.
Yeah.
Yes. And Jonathan Allen's off to a good start as well. We have Montez Sweat. Of course, we're missing Chase Young in this game. That would be a great help for us. But, we got some doable guys, James Smith-Williams, Shaka Toney, and Casey Tuhill look to come back from a concussion injury. So I like to see how our defensive front goes against this offensive line that's been running the ball effectively.
How is Smith Williams? Last I saw he was questionable. Did he practice this week? Is he good to go?
I don't think he's
as of right now, he looks good to go to me.
Okay. Yeah, he was on the injury report last I saw, and questionable. I'd have to go back and check.
Gotcha. But, all right, Caleb, what's the one thing piquing your interest headed into this game?
For me, I guess I can piggyback off what DC said. You can't stop Micah Parsons, but I'm really looking to see how our offensive coordinator is going to adjust towards what Dan Quinn is going to do, because Dan Quinn is a really good defensive coordinator. That's a guy that I wanted us to hire when we was looking for a DC back in 2020 before we brought Jack Del Rio in. But I'm really looking to see how we adjust on the fly. So if they're going to blitz us, he has to adjust. He can't keep doing the same thing and see it doesn't work. That's how we got off to a slow start against Detroit. That's how we got off to a horrible start against the Eagles. He really has to adjust this game. I'm really looking at the coordinators this game, seeing how they game plan for certain situations and how they counter as well. Now, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side.
Gotcha.
I'm really interested to see. I don't know if St. Juice is playing on the outside this week, but I think it's a real good test for him going up against CeeDee Lamb. Even though he did a solid job on A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. So he had some deflection on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So I really want to see St. Jude's progression throughout him playing on the outside, and if he plays on the outside this week. And also a special team. Because y'all got a spark plug back.
You're peaked by the whole game, Caleb.
I'm sorry.
But Cash, I don't know who's going to leave for you here. There's not much meat left on this bone.
He's like, I'm really interested in the tight end 2 matchup versus our linebackers. Yes. No meat on the bone left.
Yeah, I will say the one interesting thing that y'all both talked about, DT and Caleb, was this offensive line, right? Nick Martin is coming in, right? Am I right?
Yes,
he's going to be the starter. How quickly does he cut into this game, and how he's going to be able to call the protections will be an interesting point. Now, Cash, I know Caleb was going, but the one thing that intrigues you or piques your interest the most heading into this matchup.
Give me like 1 second.
Here for it. Cash with the struggle. I'll tell you what though. Let's bring up our first guest of the night that came in. What's going on, my guy? Hold on, we'll get to that question in a second. Because I want to let everybody see. Okay, but I want to let everybody see Cooper Rush doppelganger burner account. The Gingers.
Hey, yo.
How'd I play on Monday?
Pretty good. Better
Pretty
than we
good,
thought.
sir.
We wanted you cut 3 weeks ago, so you're doing good.
You're 3-0, bud. You're 3-0.
None of us wanted you to make the roster, so my bad.
Here you are.
I thought that was him for a minute. I was about to say, hold on, I had to lean in. I know. Okay.
As Gregory said, the man himself.
My favorite fan base that has a worse owner than the Cowboys. This is like going to the state fair and you realize, oh, we're not that bad. We're doing pretty good.
Fair, and we actually talked about that in the space. And no, there's not many. I've yet to find one throughout this week that's a Daniel Snyder fan by any stretch of the imagination. So, tough side of that. So, it is what it is with that ownership and where he's been. And we kind of know the diatribe of things that have happened. Now he's kind of removed. It's kind of the wife, right? I think right now, and what's going on there. So, I think I would be surprised if they don't force him to sell the team, but we'll wait and see. There's things that happen there and what goes on. But with that being said, Cooper Rush, do you have a question for these gentlemen? Do you have
absolutely?
You got a comment about? Go right ahead, sir.
So, first off, hats off to you guys being Washington Commanders, Redskins. You guys have put up with a lot, so I'll put you up with that. Like I live in the Baltimore area, and I see you guys across the pond, and I can just feel the misery. So, my question for you is this. You brought Ron Rivera in to basically change the culture of the Washington Commanders, and very established head coach. From your perspective, from what you've seen from since he's been hired to now, do you all see an improvement in the culture, or is it still just, hey, here's some new jerseys, but we still have these cheerleader calendars and we still have these other scandals? So is the Washington Commanders going in the right direction?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think it starts with the front office. I mean, look at all the new additions with Martin Mayhew and, Jason right now being the team president. And, you bring in Ron Rivera. I mean, he's been here for a couple of years, but when Ron came in, I mean, we can all agree, I don't care who you're a fan of, the Washington franchise was like a dumpster fire. We've already spoken to the fact of Daniel Snyder probably won't be here within the next year or two. I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, everything gets swept underneath the rug. It's a lot. There have been numerous reports now that his plane was out in New York and that Roger Goodell was also in New York at the same time. So we don't know maybe if they had a meeting, if there's been talks between different, he's underneath a lot. So, but I definitely think it's trending in the right direction. And just to speak on like a team point, you now have a trio of wide receivers. This is probably the best wide receiving group we've had in a long time, like a legitimate 1-2-3 threat. Like Curtis Samuel could be some of these teams' number one. He's our number 3. We have a rookie in Jahan Dotson, which you were all very high on. He is great. He might not have 100 and something yards a game, but he's catching 2 touchdowns in the end zone when it's contested. He's coming down with the ball. So I think it all complements each other well. And me personally, I love the direction the team's going in.
Yeah, big facts. Shout to our guy D-Town Texas G with the $2 super chat saying Rush in the building. Salute to our guy D-Town, man. Appreciate you. And yes, we have the man himself here live and in person. Caleb or DT, y'all wanna piggyback off anything there from Cash with that question?
Yeah, I'll go. To me, it depends on what you value as a winning culture. Do you value winning as part of the culture? Me personally, I do. And long story short, the past GM that we had, Bruce Allen, he said the culture here is damn good. We were 0-7. The culture is not good if you're 0-7. You're not.
We thought it was great. We thought it was great.
Yeah, of course. But for me, what he did was very, I guess you could say, remarkable. He came into a situation that hit him in the face. He dealt with cancer, and despite what the other teams in the division did, we won games despite Alex Smith being on one leg. Dwayne Haskins had his ups and downs, and the stats on the offense and defensive side, it was really rough. And he did the right things, and he broke everything down and he built it back up. Now this is when you have to start winning. Mm-hmm. That's, you got to start doing that. Because this is year 3, and I still believe that they should continue to win games. So for me, I love what he did here. I'm very critical of him in certain times, but I think he's done a pretty good job so far. Him being here, there's certain things I wish he would have done, but we all have different perspectives on that. But for who he is as a person and as a player's coach, he's done a really good job. He's done a really good job. Really good job.
10-4, DT, anything on that, or go right ahead?
Yes. So I'm going to keep it short. For my end, for all the things that Dan Snyder has gotten, we understand, to me, I don't like the guy, but one of the best things he probably did was go down to Charlotte, North Carolina, and meet up with Joe Gibbs and decide who will be the next head coach of the Washington franchise. And that guy, Joe Gibbs, chose Ron Rivera. And that was a man of culture that brings everything that we definitely needed for all the things we went through, Trent Williams situation, sexual harassment things, and stuff like that. Ron has truly changed this culture. Like, now we're not as much as a laughingstock. We're still a laughingstock in terms of how we play on the field. But from looking at the organizational things, Jason Wright, starting getting women, Jennifer King, first female coach on our team in a while. We haven't seen, things are changing for the right direction for the Washington franchise. It's just now time to win. It's time to win right now. And that's the only way we can see the true culture change is to win games.
Okay.
Yeah.
We asked this question, or I asked the question over here. We were on the space. I asked him, hey, what does he have to do this year, or is it an issue? So from the outside looking in, we talk about. Do you think if Ron Rivera doesn't win, say 9 games, is it a problem for him? Is he on the hot seat at that point here in Washington? Because I know in the pre-shows in the preseason, we did the state of the NFC East Twitter space. I thought the Commanders had the opportunity to win 10 games. I thought they would have a viable, and it's very early in this season still, right? And that's the one thing I always tell people, it's very early. But from just a grander scale, we'll get directly back into this matchup. Do you think Ron Rivera's in trouble?
I don't think Ron Rivera's in trouble yet.
Okay.
I think his leash is a lot longer than this, because when you're looking at changing an entire culture, it's different than when you're switching out the locker room. You're just changing the players in the locker room. It's as simple as just having a strong offseason or 2, and then you're right back there. When you have to rebuild the entire brand and the entire culture, you have to give somebody a longer leash. I do think his staff is not safe, but Ron Rivera should be safe, at least going into 2023, and then we'll see how things go there. But I would say, Jack Del Rio, he may not be safe, and he's a Ron Rivera guy, but I think Ron Rivera is safe just because it doesn't do your franchise any justice to do a hard reset on the culture and then remove one of the guys that you're trying to build your culture off of. You have to give him a little bit longer. Whether he wins 7 games this year or 10, it's early. We don't know how things are going to end up. Because of what he's supposed to do for the team and the organization in totality, you kind of have to give him longer, regardless of what they do. Honestly, they could probably go 5-12 this year, and he'll be safe, because what he's doing in the locker room and for the organization is moving them in the right direction, whether the record reflects it this year or not, because that's a talent thing. Then you look at our coaching staff or their coaching staff and say, is Del Rio the right guy? Is our offensive line the right guy? Is our offensive coordinator the right guy? Because if those guys aren't, we can fix that by hiring a few people, and then we're right back in the thick of things. So it's early, but I think Ron Rivera is safe.
10-4. We got another guest up here. Go ahead. Jump in.
Yeah, so the one thing about that, Scott Turner, before the offseason even began, he got a contract extension. I think a lot of people forgot about that. This is the guy that, maybe they're trying to see if he can become one of those up-and-coming offensive minds of the league that come as head coaches. And Del Rio, he's a former head coach, and he has had history. But, you're right. I think Del Rio will probably be the first one to take the outing, and maybe a guy like Chris Harris, who's on the staff, who's been getting some reviews around the league, could be the next defensive mind to keep out for.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Don't you guys have an out at the end of this season with Carson Wentz? Like, you guys can walk away from that contract, and so I kind of feel like that Rivera's safe because, I mean, it's kind of, that you can bring in new blood at quarterback next year and not.
Yeah, when we traded for Wentz, we took on all the money, and that affected our cap and our ability to re-sign players that were very successful last year. But if Wentz doesn't pan out, we can cut time after this year if we don't have any cap penalty. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things about that trade that not a lot of people know. But to add on to what you said, I think for me, I've always said Rivera isn't our future head coach. I think he's laying the foundation for the team for the next guy and follow up with what he was doing. So he may go to upper management and Scott Turner may be the head coach, or a guy that he sees a future in as a young head coach or a young aspiring head coach to take the reins of the team and, be that fiery guy, that young fiery guy, and that young, young hungry head coach. Really, to be honest, I really think that's what it's going to be.
Honestly, I don't feel like Ron Rivera's on the hot seat only because we need to see this team compete. I don't think it's necessarily about wins and losses. It's more about being able to compete.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how they compete the rest of the way, and then we'll reconvene later this season for sure. .com log on in the building. How we doing this Friday, .com?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Tyrone, man. I'm all right.
Awesome. Hey, what you got any particular questions, anything for anybody on the panel, man? How we doing?
Yeah. I'd actually have a question for both sides. First, for the Cowboys, with our left guard situation, let's say when everybody's healthy, when we have Peters, McGovern, and Tyrone back, what is your ideal situation with our left guard, left guard, left tackle? I think we're going to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. So what do you think our ideal lineup will be once everybody's healthy? Is my first question. And also I have a question for the Washington.
All right, hold that. Let's answer that, then we'll get to your second question. How about that? Okay.
Okay.
Canberra O, who wants to take that?
Go ahead, O.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll take it. Go on. I'll go.
Honestly, if we see Tyron, let's be real. I mean, there is no guarantee that we are going to see that man on the field by the end of the season. I think that we may see a rotation between McGovern and Peters. Until now, we're going to see Peters be worked in more. We're definitely going to see him more than 14 snaps like we did this last game. And, he looked pretty good considering he hadn't really been there. So I think it's just going to be a rotation with them, and then the stronger player will take over. And we already know who that is. So.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick with it too. So when we drafted Tyler Smith, the whole conversation immediately, literally the same night we drafted him, was he's a left side guy. When they told us that, everybody assumed he's going to be slotted in to be left guard, and he's the heir apparent to Tyron Smith when Tyron Smith retires or leaves the organization. And that timeline got expedited. He was forced to be thrown to the wolves and had to cut his teeth as he learned. So he's been out there in game action at left tackle. Aside from having 3 penalties so far, he's looked the part. He's been up for the task at left tackle. And if you know that he's your future at left tackle, I just don't see how you could pull him back from there, especially when they had Jason Peters healthy and ready to play last week and said Peters is left guard. It wasn't even consideration for the staff that he was going to be our left tackle. So, because a lot of people are saying, your best 5 is putting Peters at left tackle, sliding Tyler inside, letting him get experience there, and then you move him back outside. But the staff feels good enough with Tyler Smith on the left tackle spot that they didn't want to move him, even having Jason Peters, albeit a 40-year-old version of him, on the roster ready to go. They still elected to have Peters at left guard. So I think the short version of it is Tyler Smith is your left tackle. not only for week 4, but for the rest of the season and moving forward. So what does that mean for Tyron Smith? We'll see. Does Tyron Smith become a highly paid right tackle, which is totally fine if he does? Okay, but Terrence Steele's playing well. So most likely, if I had to guess, I'd say that Tyron Smith was probably out after the season, most likely retiring. I don't think he'll go play elsewhere. He's racked up a lot of injuries. He's made a lot of money. He could walk away with his health intact and be probably a Hall of Famer right now. So I don't think he will play after the season, but a lot remains to be seen there. And then to answer your question at left guard, I think we'll see Jason Peters get more and more snaps there. But it's interesting because Connor McGovern's healthy and is going to play this week, or at least that's what signs are pointing at. So Farniok, he's probably out, in terms of being in that rotation. But now you have Jason Peters and McGovern coming off of a high ankle sprain. We'll kind of see how that plays itself out. But I think Tyler Smith is your left tackle from here on out.
Yeah, I think very candidly, as the Peters got signed, things happened. They kicked him out. There was some different, feelings within the building and here on this channel about what was going to happen here once Tyron Smith went down. As soon as the Tyron Smith injury happened, and then we found out less than 24 hours later what it was, I immediately was on the bandwagon of I don't think he's playing this year. Now, granted, we'll wait and see. Shout out to him. Broken kneecap, hamstring detached from the bone. He got reps and just walked out with no problem. I tell everybody, NFL players are built differently. They just are. But neither here nor there. After the first 2 games, they were seeing the Peters things happen, and I started talking about it. I started tweeting about it early that week leading up to the Giants. I was like, at what point do you just leave him there? Because he's played maybe better than we anticipated. Now, I know there's a lot of people who's like, well, yeah, but he's going to be so much better at guard. Yeah, but you don't know that, right? And what we do know is he's holding his own at left tackle. So for us within Cowboys Nation and what we've seen a lot of and things that we've been pounding the table about is stop playing with young players, stop moving them around, let them go somewhere, let them be that guy and move forward. So for me, I wasn't going to be hypocritical at this moment, say, oh, well, you know what? Now Peters is here. Let's just kick him inside. So we start doing the same things again. And then look, what he goes inside, say 4 weeks later, Peters gets hurt. Okay, well, now we're kicking him back outside and we're just doing too much. And of course, the old style of looking at, you want continuity on the line, right? So I want to make one move, not 2 moves. And by putting Peters at left tackle and sliding Tyler Smith inside, you're making 2 moves, not 1 move.
Right.
So those were the things for me that I was looking at heading into the Giants game. And then you see what he did in the Giants game. And look, he didn't go against slouches against Tampa or the Bengals. And you look who the Shaquille Barretts of the world, right? The Hendricksons of the world. He was playing against decent competition, right? Upper tier competition. And then you saw what he did out on the edge and different things. Go look at the tape there against the Giants and holding his own. A couple of penalties, but he held his own, right? So for me, I think going forward, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is literally the Romo Dak conundrum, but it's just at left tackle. It was never supposed to be Dak this early at quarterback, just like it was supposed to be Tyler Smith this early at left tackle. But now that it's happened and he's over there playing well, man, it's a wrap. I think best case scenario is simply this. If Tyron Smith comes back in December, late December, early January, man, you feel very fantastic that you have great depth. And if he needs to play swing tackle for you, great. If you're making the playoffs, man, what a great tool to have. And then, of course, we talk about when you're in big formations and you want to go, 3 tight ends, you're getting to that big, huge inside the 10. Well, guess what? Tyler Smith go out there and report as being eligible and just be that 6th offensive lineman down there and do what you have to do. So, yeah, I think this is where it's at. Back to what O said. How quickly does it become Peters' full-time job? We'll see. I expect him to have more than 14 steps this week, but I still think it's going to be a count as he's going. And Peter said himself, I got my preseason game out the way. I'm ready. Okay, but we know about this coach statement, how Mike McCarthy and them have worked. It'll be a progress thing still. But, yeah, Farniok, yeah, fella, appreciate you, but you're probably not going to be in that rotation if Connor McGovern's ready to go. Okay, .com, you said you had a second question here for the Commanders guys. Man, go right ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with it's a big if with Tyron Smith coming back. I mean, we're all hoping he comes back and has a full recovery, but I don't see it either, really, to tell you the truth. But to my Washington guys, everybody I think here could agree with that. We all have respect for Ron Rivera, like what he did, going through his treatment and still coaching and going through remission. Salute to that dude. But as far as the other coaches, let's talk Jack Del Rio. How confident are y'all in Jack Del Rio? I know Professor O, he kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to. How do y'all? He's been in the league for a long time. Do y'all think y'all need new blood at defensive? Your defensive coordinator, y'all need new blood. Or are y'all comfortable with Jack Del Rio?
Jack Del Rio has struggled year in and year out. He is, in a lot of Washington fans' opinion, he's just not a good coach. I don't think it's entirely his fault, but the defense looks atrocious at times. Like, okay, we'll just take one play, for example, right? The DeAndre Swift, 55-yard touchdown where he fell down and was still untouched. That's almost like unheard of, and to fall down and still be untouched and have 5 defenders all around you. Like, he had one in front of him, one directly behind him, and then there was 2 more right around the end zone area, and he didn't get touched. And he's in there dancing, and it's just those kind of plays right there, just kind of those don't happen a lot. But I think Washington's defense has given up some of the most biggest plays this year. People like to say, oh, well, it's only 6 plays. No, it's only 6 plays of 50-plus yards. Those are a lot of big-time plays that our defense seems to give up with JDR.
Well, damn. Anybody else want to comment on Del Rio and maybe I need to move?
Go ahead, DT. Go ahead.
Okay, so looking at Del Rio's track record, at least the first year, every team he has been with, he has always had the top 10 defense. But then later on, you'll see the regression, and you start to see the regression with this team. One of the things last year that hurt the team was, the defensive line was kind of individually chasing their own stats. And then the linebacker core hasn't really been improving, and they're still not filling gaps and run schemes and stuff like that. And also having miscommunication in the secondary. So when you saw the winning streak, 4-game winning streak last year, they kind of simplified things, which they put Landon Collins last year. They put him at the Buffalo nickel in the box area so he won't have to worry about covering and things like that. But now we're in 2022, and a lot of things still kind of happening. So I'm at a 6 with Del Rio right now. I don't think all the things are his problem. It has to be players too, because at the end of the day, you brought up that DeAndre Swift 35-yard touchdown. Players got to be able to make the tackle. He can't be out there and make the tackles, things like that. So it's blame on both player and coaching. And same could be said for, I know this is about Del Rio, same could be said about Scott Turner. You have the pieces to scheme up plays like that. You have to put them to good use. You have to adjust week to week, because now teams are blitzing us knowing that Carson cannot move out the pocket.
A quick comment on that, on that DeAndre Swift thing. That play was a 3rd and 15. I don't know if any of y'all remember. That was on a 3rd and 15. So, and we were actually coming back in that game. We had scored on back-to-back drives. We're now down, I think it was about 9 or 10 points at that point. You have a 3rd and 15. You have a chance to get off the field. At the very most, you give up a field goal attempt. And no field goal in the National Football League is guaranteed. I'm not saying he would have missed it, but I'm just saying, maybe they don't score there, and maybe we don't win the game. But I think the game gets even closer than that. If you can get off the field right there. So touchdowns at that point in the game, with how that went down, and your players should already be all the way backed up. You're already down 22-0 at halftime. You can't give up another touchdown and still expect to win this ball game. You've already given so much. Your defense is exhausted. Their offense has been driving against our defense all game long. This was a chance. You get back-to-back scoring touchdowns, and now you get another opportunity to get the ball back in your offense's hands.
Not as an excuse for Washington, but to be fair, 2 of the 3 teams you played have some of the better offenses in the league right now. And I know Detroit Lions is one that people, preseason, I think all of us in the NFC East circled that game that's a game you should be able to win that, or at least be competitive in that game. Amon-Ra St. Brown has proven early in the season, at least, that he's a legit bona fide receiver. Jared Goff's playing pretty good football, and then you have DeAndre Swift, who's hurt this week, but the combination of him and Jamal Williams is a lot better than what a lot of people expected coming in the year. So again, I'm not saying that as an excuse for Washington, but you have to be honest and acknowledge sometimes, or especially when you're looking at early returns, you're 3 weeks into the season, you played two of the better offenses in the league so far, so you have to expect some of those guys are going to make big plays.
Yeah, I'll say this. For me, he need to go. I'm sorry. He that's just my opinion on it. Like even after the Lions game, some of the players said we could just tell what they were in defensively. Like there's basically they said their scheme, like their defensive scheme is so blah, like it's so basic. Like they don't. He's not creative enough. I want to see him do different things, like I guess exotic blitzes. You know, y'all know what Dan Quinn does over there in Dallas. He does some exotic stuff over there with our defense. And that's what I want our defense to do. Like, don't just keep doing the same thing, having the DBs play 10 yards off. Like that, you can't do that. But yet again, to piggyback on what DT said, it is sometimes the players aren't where they're supposed to be at the same time. But for me, it's like 60% coaching and 40% players. So that's how I feel it is. Me personally, I don't really care too much for him. I think he's I don't care too much. That's it.
I just got one final note here.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, DMV.
Yeah, well, Tim Ford, just letting everybody know it's in the building. We have the link pinned at the top of the comment section over here on YouTube. If you want to come up here, ask a question, comment, anything, by all means, you can hit that link, come up here, camera on, camera off, it don't matter. By all means, it's right there at the top. If you want to come up here and speak, go right ahead.
This team has not been good in about 30 years. Okay. So, I mean, to Caleb's point, we're tired of, mediocrity, not being that good. So when you have all this talent on your defensive line, the 4 first-round picks on your defensive line. How many defenses in the National Football League have 4 first-round picks? I mean, these are guys that are coming from Alabama too. They're coming from a very winning team who doesn't tolerate not being at your very best at all times. They demand winningness in Alabama. Anything less than a perfect season is like, so what did we do wrong? Like how in the world, explain that. So it's like, and we have talent. Our defense is not atrocious. William Jackson III is not as bad as he's been playing. He's not that bad. So when you have all this talent and we're still dealing with just being meh, it's atrocious.
Okay. All right. Cooper Rush.
That is so refreshing to hear.
You're
like
welcome.
Hearing it from another family member. Like, Cash, are you related to me somehow? Because I swear that sounds like the Cowboys literally hit the lottery on a quarterback they didn't want in Dak Prescott, who they tried to trade out with, and they got Tony Romo as an undrafted free agent. That's like winning the Powerball 2 times in a row, and you have nothing to show for it. Nothing. So
all
it's
the
just
talent in the world, but absolutely nothing to do. All the talent in the world.
And that's why I feel so bad for Washington fans, because it's like my dad's a Knicks fan, and I get it. I get it 100% when your problem is just rotten from the core. And that's why, when you guys were piggybacking off Ron Rivera, I don't think his job should be in danger at all. If anything, he's the only reason that's keeping Washington out of the limelight right now, with all the federal investigations and all the other nonsense that's around that team. The one thing I will say, though, about your defense, and I agree, it's way too talented to be playing the way it's been playing. Arguably, you have how many, 4 or 5 first-round picks on the defensive line, and they're all have an amazing skill set, too. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat, those guys alone would start on most defensive lines. It just kind of makes me wonder, why do the Commanders even keep Jack Del Rio if you're all hell bent on
Rush, I got you, because we had some of this conversation about Mike McCarthy and his friends.
Oh,
and keep him around.
Right.
Del Rio's a great friend of Mr. Ron Rivera. He likes his friends.
Del Rio is our Philbin.
Oh my gosh. The
Can I
Count
just give you guys
Chocula.
a quick confession? So when we hired Mike McCarthy and he brought his guy, Mike Nolan, in, I was right about that part because I was like, Nolan's going to be a disaster. This guy hasn't been a DC in 5 years, and he was the defensive coordinator of the Falcons who had like the 28th ranked defense. What are we doing? I wanted Jack Del Rio as our defensive coordinator. So missed on that one. I do want to say too.
That's nasty.
I have to be honest. It happened. So I'm just throwing it out there. You know,
You just keep it in the bug. It's okay.
Keeping it real. So I was wrong on that one. So appreciate you guys hiring Dan Quinn.
Sure.
That was
I
that was a
wanted
year
Dan
later
Quinn.
because it was Mike Nolan. It was Mike Nolan.
we
It
hired
wasn't Dan
Dan
Quinn
Quinn
at the time. So
We hired Dan Quinn.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted Dan Quinn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
that's-
had Mike Nolan at
We
the
all
time. And
wanted
I was
Dan
right.
Quinn,
He
yeah.
was a disaster. But going back to the Washington team, so yes, the front four, super strong. However, you're missing Chase, which is a huge loss. You have Jamin Davis, another first-round pick at linebacker. A guy that Nix and I talked about a lot was Benjamin St. Juste. We liked him a lot. I think
was hurt.
With your next defensive coordinator, he will move to safety and be a high-level safety. Because that's what I thought when I was scouting him is size-wise, he's big. He's like a 6'3" cornerback, really good film. I saw safety all over this guy. I'm telling you, I have a feeling, I'm just throwing it out there. Your next defensive coordinator, if he's smart, which hopefully he will be for you guys, will be a safety, and he'll be a very good safety in the NFL. I like him at cornerback, but I loved him at safety. Just throwing that out there.
I liked him at the safety. I was with him. I was a cornerback, and I was like, Nix, you got to listen to me. Just look at the tape again and imagine what he does there, and see him go at safety. And
He could be your tight end think about him like
he had
the
to
way
bring
we
me
use J-Ron
around.
Curse. He's your tight end eraser.
But you did
He's your
bring
guy
me
that's
around
able
on
to
Juice
step
at the
up in the
safety.
box,
We
but
both
also
liked
drop
him,
back in coverage. Like he could. Cam Chancellor's like the easy one everyone throws out there because of the size profile. But
yeah,
the J-Ron Curse angle, like what we saw with Curse last year, where he could slide in and be your nickel linebacker. He's a guy that could play over the tight end or cover out of the slot in big nickel. Like that's what I think St. Juice future is. Just throwing it out there for the Commanders fans.
10-4.
You want to know the wild thing is though? He plays slot.
Yeah, right.
That's the
Because he's
wild
already
thing
doing
about
that
it.
part. Yeah, he's already doing that part of it. So
Yeah, that's part of it. Definitely.
I just
Go
have
ahead,
a quick
Cam.
comment.
Oh, go ahead, Cash.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
go.
Cash. I'll get to Cam next.
Okay. The Chase Young is very talented. I mean, don't get it twisted. Chase Young has all the talent in the world. However, if we're to sit here and say that we can't get any pressure whatsoever without Chase Young being on the line, then that doesn't mean the line's good. That means Chase Young is good. And don't get it wrong. The line is too good to be playing how they're playing without Chase Young. If Chase Young comes back and this defensive line drastically changes and they're getting pressure all the time, they turn into like a Dallas Cowboys defensive line with how they look, right? With how much pressure they're able to get. Then who was it really that was really leading that defensive line? Is Chase Young that important? Like is he really then we would really see that he's the piece. And I think that they're talented as a unit. I don't think when Chase Young comes back, it's just going to become like.
Oh, he's hitting the buffer. That new move, the buffer. Go
I
ahead.
think he's back. Go ahead.
You're good now.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Go. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. Like I was saying, I don't think when Chase Young comes back, I don't think a ton of things are going to change. And the defense has to play well now. You have too much talent now. If he comes back and he completely changes the defense, then the defense was never really that good. It's just that Chase is a great leader and he knows how to lead good players. You have to play well with the talent that you have. It's never one guy that makes a whole team great. One great quarterback with a bunch of bums, they're not winning the Super Bowl. You have to have multiple pieces on a team. Even if everyone's not great, you have to have good pieces that complement each other. And right now they're not complementing each other as well as we know that they can.
Okay. All right. But your coach has got to put them in a position to go be great and do what they do best to succeed. And that's kind of on the flip side with us with Kellen Moore. He's shown the propensity not to do that. But what we've seen the past 2 weeks in how he's scheming guys to do what they do well, we're seeing some bonuses and some good things coming. So even with the guy that is out, right? Because I mean, take Chase for y'all on defense. Well, we're missing Dak, but now we're scheming and attacking it the way that these people that we do have in place to be well. You can get some of this. No, is it as good as whenever Dak was here? No. Would your defensive line be as good when Chase is there? Probably not. But you can do certain things schematically to help these guys do certain things. So it's an interesting point there for sure. Cam, slide in there. I know you're ready to say something. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no. So I got a question for the guys. With Schweitzer being out, I mean, how big of a concern is this with Nick Martin being over the ball at center for you guys?
I mean,
it's a new center.
Yeah, it's a new center. Even though last year, if you look back on last year, we didn't have our starting center the whole year either. We I think 4 or 5 different combinations at center last year, and they both finished off to be a top 10 O-line overall. They were top 10 in pass block win rate, and they were top 10 in run block win rate. So I have confidence in our coaching staff still, based off the performance in these past 2 weeks. It was a little, it wasn't up to par of what I know of how we know they can play. Right. So I bank off the coaching.
Okay.
Players. So, and when you got a center, Nick Martin, he's been around the league for a minute. You know, he's not an extremely talented offensive lineman, but he's a veteran, and I feel and I have confidence, including his coaching staff, that they can get him up to speed with everything. And they say he's been doing good in practice so far.
Well, I'm not going to say he's doing bad, though. I mean, we got to be honest. I mean, look, we just went through a situation where another Martin, after a goal line play, turned and walked towards the sideline and said, quit calling that set. But somehow they said, oh, no, he was talking about the communication of the offense. I don't know any communication of the offensive line says anything about calling that set, but neither here nor there. Y'all, Cash or DT, Nick Martin, confidence level. And look, as we talked this week, obviously you had your guard had to slide there. It wasn't very good with some of the snaps and everything, so maybe he can snap the ball better. So where y'all at with Nick Martin here coming in and have to play center?
You can go ahead first, DT.
Like I said, as a new guy at the spot, like Kayla also said, last year we had a makeshift offensive line during the middle of the season. They still played very strong. So, but this is the new year. But I think him being a natural center will help out with the snaps you were talking about. I'm very concerned with the guards with him, like Norwell and Trey Turner, 2 guys that played with Ron Rivera in Carolina. They have not been up to the good start of the season so far, especially Trey Turner. Schweitzer to me should be the starter over Trey Turner, but because of the injury, so that's a spot that's going to be kind of affecting us right now. But I'm not really as worried about the center. I'm more worried about our guards.
One of the things that Caleb was bringing up the coaching, I kind of want to ask you real quickly. We got some questions coming up here in the chat, and we'll get to those here in just one second. During this process of the training camp and preseason, you ended up finding your defensive line coach, right? And as our guy Cash was kind of sitting here talking about, the coaching and when Chase comes back and different things, with the firing here now of the line coach, are you indifferent with that move now, or too early? Just where's it at? Was it a move that needed to be made?
Yes.
In opinion? Okay.
Yes. It needed to be made. Just based, if some of our fans, in our spaces, they feel like the defense regressed a little based off the 2020 and 2021, and they feel like 2022 they still keep doing the same bad habits. But if you look at the defensive line last year, it was a little underwhelming. They did not play up to par. I don't care what PFFF said about Chase Young, how his grade, to me, for what he's capable of, it wasn't the Chase Young that we know. Jonathan Allen is Jonathan Allen. I think he's a top 5 D tackle in the league based off what he's done in the past 3 years and what he's still doing now. Deron Payne, like DT said, this season, he's off to a great start. He's playing, he wants that contract. And they're playing like 2 of the best D tackle duos in the league. But that same defensive line coach that's coaching them now, he coached Nick Bosa, the Bosa brothers, and I believe he coached somebody else who's and he's still playing in the league, and he's very elite. It is drawing a blank on me right now, but I know he's coaching one of the Bosa. He coached DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner, yeah, he coached him, and DeForest Buckner, great D tackle too, with the Colts. So, the defensive line looks really good, and like Cash said earlier, Chase Young didn't even come back. So hopefully Chase Young can come back and he can get off to a great start too.
So got it. 3 questions from the
go
chat.
Get the question. I was going to say, get questions from the chat. I'll go right ahead.
Yeah, so we have 3 questions from our Cowboys content followers. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. I'm going to ask each of you one question since there's 3 questions, just so you guys don't have to, repeat what somebody else said. So we're going to start. We'll just go with DT first. McKissick's usage this year. So JD McKissick last year, he was used as kind of he had a ton of receptions last year and had a higher usage than what you're seeing this year, specifically in like the screen game. And he was able to take advantage of defenses a lot. And he was I don't want to call him a high level impact player, but he had a high level impact to your offense. This year with Antonio Gibson, you guys have been passing the ball heavily. I think it's like 63% or 64% or something like that pass run ratio. You're not seeing quite the same usage. Is that a reflection of just a change in philosophy? Has he fallen out of the pecking order? And then kind of secondary, throwing this one then as a follow-up to that question, Brian Robinson was kind of the talk of preseason for you guys prior to, unfortunately what happened to him. But from what I've heard, it looks like he'll be ready to go sooner rather than later. How does he impact in that running back situation, since that also will reflect impact what's going to happen with McKissick? So the question is, McKissick's usage so far, do you think that's just an anomaly? Do you think we'll see more of him as the season progresses? And then what about Brian Robinson after he returns from IR?
Yeah. So for McKissick, we need to use him right now because that's one of the main reasons why defensive coordinators are starting to tee off on the offensive line and Carson Wentz, because we're making a lot of long developing plays. And even when we have quick game, Carson Wentz is holding the ball because he's still learning the offense, and it's only been 4 weeks. So McKissick usage has been kind of low this year. I expected to boost up starting playing y'all this week. And for Brian Robinson, I think we're missing him a lot because of the way he gets his yards, gritty yards, the unknown yards and stuff like that. So that can help the running backs as well. When you have a bell cow back that can get to 15 to 20 carries, Antonio Gibson and JD McKissick can be used as wide receivers. They were wide receivers in college, and you can use them. And you've seen, if you watch the Jacksonville game, Antonio Gibson had his best game as a pass catcher, like 7 catches for 72 yards. Even McKissick still has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. I think for me, it's because we have so many good wide receivers and we have tight ends. We even have a tight end that hasn't even been active yet in Cole Turner, the rookie out of Nevada, 6'7" guy, 255 pounds, played wide receiver with Carson Strong. So it's a lot of mouths to feed. So I think that's the one thing Scott has to balance.
If I remember correctly, too, didn't McKissick's usage increase last year after Logan Thomas got injured?
Yeah.
I feel like that's when the timing table of that productivity. So now having him back in the equation, I'm sure that kind of affects things. All right. So Cash just hopped out. I think he's at work. So we will go on to Caleb for question 2. Aaron wants to know, how does Jamin Davis's usage as a pass rusher impact coverage? I guess we'll just ask about his usage in general. Do you think he's being utilized to the maximum of his capabilities? Do you want to see him rush more? And when he does rush, has that helped your pass coverage?
Yes, I feel like we should use Jamin, and I've said this before. DTs know I've said this before. I feel like we should use Jamin Davis how the Bucs use Devin White. They blitz him. They use his athletic ability to his strength. And what's crazy? He actually, I think does he lead our team in sacks? I'm not sure. Is he DT?
I don't know.
More than likely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's leading our team in sacks. He's a linebacker. I mean, our other players have gotten pressure. Our D linemen have gotten pressure, but he so far when we blitz him and the D line is doing their job, he kind of finishes the job for us. So I feel like we should blitz him more. And if they use him in coverage, he needs to be around the line of scrimmage. Don't have him drop back and have to cover an athletic tight end or a tight end that's good with a route running. And when I say this, I don't mean to sound too harsh, but it's true. If Jamin Davis is allowed to think in certain situations, he doesn't really play well. When he's forced to think and make decisions, then it's hard for him. But when you tell him to use your instincts and just use your athletic ability and go get the guy when you see him, he plays really, really well because of his speed. And like I said before, his athleticism.
See, I coach football too, and one of the phrases we use all the time is for a player like that, it's see ball, get ball. Like, don't worry about anything else, just attack the football. That's what I need you to do. Go downhill, be aggressive, and that's where I'm maximizing your abilities. Go ahead, Nick, so the super chat, and then we'll get into
we got
cash
a
with the
super
question.
from D-Town with the $2, and his question is a question for everyone: is Jalen Hurts for real?
He's definitely.
Let's start with Cam. Are you tied up in the Washington game yet?
I'm trying. No, I got logged out, and so I'm.
Oh no, I see the struggle. I was like, "Oh, Cam's struggling. What's going on?"
I'm like, and so I've got to put
do your time.
I don't have Apple TV in here, so I can't put everything on my phone to bring it up. So. I'm on the struggle bus right now.
Fair. You give a quick yes or no. Do you think Jalen Hurts is for real 3 games in?
I think he's improved. I think he's improved greatly. I think he's improved from whatever they're doing there right now. Do I see? Okay, let's be real. What were their last 3 opponents too?
Okay, that's fair.
So
let me ask you one more question as a follow-up to that. Let's say we change the question to is Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback?
Well, yeah, fair. I mean, I don't know. Franchise is kind of.
What do you mean by for real? Like, what is a for real quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, is he legit this year? Right. I mean, has he arrived? Maybe that's.
I just want to. Define the terms of what we're saying when we say for real. Okay.
Has he arrived? Has he walked through the door and he's okay? Well, we'll use franchise quarterback.
I need to see him play somebody beyond even who they're playing this week. Because they're playing the Giants. No, who are they playing?
Jags.
Jacksonville.
Playing the Jags.
Yeah.
Okay, I need one of those. I need one of the more.
So not quite a franchise quarterback yet. Okay, we're pivoting a little bit because our D-Town who actually threw it down and says yes, franchise. So 3 games into this season, fair enough. Well, we'll pivot the question. DT is Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback now? Has he arrived?
I see the improvement in his game as a passer, but I won't say he's a franchise quarterback yet. He's 9-1 against bad teams, but he's 0-5 against the good teams. Those, when you're in the NFL and you want to get that money like Dak Prescott, you have to beat those teams that matter.
Got you.
And that's me.
Got you. Professor O, is Jalen Hurts, as you kind of pivoted here and he agreed, is he a franchise quarterback?
I would say to be determined. I think he's definitely trending that way. So, like Camber mentioned, he is significantly improved this year. One of the things I want to see when I'm looking for a franchise level quarterback is how are you able to do when a team like so far, if you look at the Vikings game, they did everything you could possibly do schematically wrong against a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Literally everything you could do wrong. Like they did not press
and never adjusted out of it either.
They didn't adjust.
Telling the truth.
They didn't adjust. They didn't press the receivers. They gave him a 7 to 8 yard cushion. So it's easy for him to make 2 quick reads. All I have to do is look at my hot route and say it's there or not. If it's there, I'm pulling the trigger. If it's not, I'll extend the play or run. And I'm putting the defense on the heels. They did nothing at all to force him to make a decision. I do want to give a stat because I think it's important. When people talk about going through your progressions and talking about, quarterback's ability to move off of your first read, because that's something that Cam Newton, early in his career when he was an NFL MVP, he was a one-read quarterback. I'm looking at this read. If it's not there, I'm tucking and running, or I'm extending the play and looking downfield or whatever. I think the rate of quarterbacks throwing to their first read, if you know what the actual statistics are, will surprise you. So last year, the NFL average was 67% of the time quarterbacks threw to their first read. So what that tells me is it's scheme and pre-snap recognition. Those are the two biggest important factors for a quarterback who has the ability to succeed at the next level. And when you look at Jalen Hurts last year, I think he was 70%. So he was slightly above average throwing to his first read.
Wow.
But he wasn't significantly above that. So if you look at like Tom Brady versus Jalen Hurts, all-time great, the GOAT versus Jalen Hurts. Hurts is not throwing to his first read at a much higher rate than what you would see Tom Brady throw to. So what I do want to see is 3 weeks into the season, we haven't seen that team say, I'm just going to play a single deep safety and I'm going to man up and press at the line. What do? We haven't seen that yet. That's what I'm waiting as a non-biased, not Eagles fan. I want to see what he does when that happens because we haven't seen it happen yet. But what I've seen so far is he's decisive, he's been accurate, and he's extending plays and he's making plays, whether it's through the air and the ground. So he's trending that way. If I was an Eagles fan, I'd be excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simply this. I think there's a couple of things here through the first 3 weeks. You see what happens when you have a young quarterback and you go put pieces around him. They'll excel. They'll take a jump. I think the other layer to that simply is you're now into year 2 of Nick Sirianni's offense and what they want to do. So he's had 2 years in the same scheme. So there's familiarity here happening. He gets the reads out quicker. He understands where it's supposed to go. And you got hosses now, because not only is it about Brown, right? You have a rookie who had who set the rookie record for the Eagles. He brought Deshaun Jackson and Smith, who gets better from year 1 to year 2. As we talk about Michael Parsons from year 1 to year 2, that's why I tell people, guys that are in this league that are good, but in general across the league, after year 1 to year 2, they get better. And you're seeing that with Smith as well. So those pieces are developing. My thing that's very questionable to me right now for the Eagles is the past 2 weeks, and it just so happens to be 24 points in both the first halves, and then not really good there in the second half. Now, if we pivot back to the Lions game, a little bit different scenario, but the last 2 weeks, they're on, they're popping, they're getting it. It is what it is. Hurts damn near had 297 or 98 passing yards in the first half against Washington. He ended up with 340. Yeah. Like, there's just certain things happening there in the second half that you got to see him walk through. I think it's a very good start in what they want to see from him, but I think it's too early to call him a franchise quarterback yet. But as this thing's trending, we'll see. But has he taken a step forward? What I will say is, yes, from last year to this year, he has taken a step forward. But boy, when you look at the weapons around him, he should have took the step forward. And now we'll see what moves on from there, okay?
I mean,
go ahead. Land that, Cash. We got a question for y'all coming up next from the Super Chat. Go right ahead, Cash.
I feel like this is their franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a very mobile quarterback. In the National Football League, you don't decide who you play. You just said these are all grown men trying to win a football game, getting paid millions of dollars to do so. Even the worst team is still a damn good football team. Versus us, he had a 123.5 rating. Versus Minnesota, he had a 108.7 rating. He's thrown for almost 350 yards in both games. Even versus the Lions, where they had a great rushing game, they had a great special teams game, they had some defensive takeaways. Still threw for 243. So it's like, what more should Philly really ask out of their quarterback if he's not their franchise quarterback? He's still young. There's just like you said, his trajectory to get better is the ceiling is so high, and the fact that he's already putting up these numbers is incredible. If I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah, they should definitely be hyped for sure about it. Now, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Again, it's a long season. It's a very early sample size. He is showing those things, but what the Eagles have done, we have to understand, is they put a lot of pieces around him. They have draft capital next year to go get busy if they want to, so it has to continue that way. Let me pivot over here. Our guy Jordan Harris, he has a Super Chat question here for the Commanders fans. Will Wentz survive the Dallas defensive pass rush?
He had to ask that question. The only way he'll survive, like I said earlier, Scott Turner, going into this game, you have to take an account for Michael Parsons, like I said before. I'm looking at this Dallas defensive line and Micah, like everybody says nowadays, Micah is him. So you got to start doing quick passes. Get the ball out of your hands quick. That's how you neutralize a pass rush. Get the ball out of your hands quick. Do some screens, end arounds. You got to just get the ball out of his hands. He can't sit there and hold the ball too long. When you look at that Jags game, when Wentz had time, he was slicing and dicing that defense. I mean, Jags may not have a prolific defense, but he got the job done. But for this game, you got to get the ball out of your hands fast. I'm not letting him sit back there for 3 seconds and just let Micah go crazy. You just can't do that. Because you could put Micah anywhere. Both the edges, you could rush him up the middle. That's how dynamic he is as a player. And like I said before, just get the ball out of your hands. Let the weapons do what they got to do. Let them do their job. Because like I've always said before, we don't need Wentz to play like an elite quarterback. We just need him to put the ball where it needs to be. If he gives the ball to our playmakers and let them do all the work, you're good. It's as simple as that.
10-4 DT.
Yeah, so look, Carson Wentz is a Christian, so he's gonna have to be a pastor in the morning and pray.
Boy better pray.
What a comment, by the way.
Hey, Chad. Hey, put the prayer hands up for Carson.
I was not ready for that.
Hey, but look, like Caleb said, the quick passing game gonna have to be the best friend. Hitch routes, slants, corners, and rub routes. The ways to get the ball in the back.
RPO. I'm telling you, Daniel Jones got success with the RPO. Wentz is familiar with the RPO. So one thing that I'm like, ooh, I feel a little about it when y'all get into the RPO action. I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah. and run the ball. Try to run the ball, get manageable downs and stuff like that. I'm not looking to get like 200 yards and things like that. Just try to find a way to be balanced and things like that. John Kahn put an interesting stat up last week. Our first down rate, we're averaging 5 yards a pop when running the ball. It just so happens when we're getting those second down situations, we're getting sacked because of long development plays. So we have to change up the game plan a little bit. This is where, Professor O, you're talking about J.D. McKissick. Try to use J.D. McKissick and swing them outside, try to match up against these linebackers and corners, things like that.
10-4.
See, this is where this is exactly where you call shallow crossing routes. You start doing those mesh rail concepts to try to take advantage of a defense that's playing man. What I would call, though, is mesh pivot routes, because that way I have two easy, quick reads, and I'm taking advantage of my playmakers like a Curtis Samuel or Jahan Dotson, for instance, matched up one-on-one in space against somebody like Jordan Lewis, for instance, who's been a pretty good slot corner, but playing slot corner in the NFL is not easy. You're playing against the best athletes on the other team. Like, it's very difficult, especially to do that in man coverage in space. Like, it's a brutal task. It's a really high ask for any defense, any nickel cornerback in particular that has to do that. So there are ways to neutralize the Cowboys pass rush. What makes the Cowboys pass rush so unique, though, is Micah Parsons is what everybody's been talking about. Rightfully so. He's dynamic. He's an absolute stud. Yeah. But you also have DeMarcus Lawrence.
D-Law.
And you also have Dorrance Armstrong, a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about because he's not a big name player yet, but he has 3 sacks for the season. And you have a Dante Fowler, a former first-round pick who has, I think, 1.5 sacks. So the Cowboys' pass rushes heavily come from the edge rushers, but it's the amount of edge rushers who are making plays. It's not just one side where you can say, it's cool putting Antonio Gibson on that slide or Logan Thomas, and we'll have him chip before he releases. When it's coming from both sides of the field, and one of those guys can move inside and rush through the middle. Like, that's where it becomes a difficult ask for an offensive coordinator. But there are things you can do to neutralize it. At the same time, though, Sensei mentioned slant routes. Slant routes are so underutilized in the NFL. Like, it blows my mind because I'm now throwing, if you're in zone coverage, I now have a receiver crossing a linebacker. I'm taking that read every single time. I'm always taking my wide receiver versus your linebacker. Literally 100 out of 100 times I'm pulling the trigger there. Just because there's not a lot of NFL linebackers who are going to have the right feel to drop back to the right spot and make a play on a receiver often enough for that to be too high of a risk reward factor. And also, I have the ability, if you're in a single high safety with the center fielder, if my receiver is able to get in space or make the first guy miss, it's off to the races. So I don't know why teams don't run slants higher than what they do. It kind of blows my mind, but
you know, the other thing too, when you talk about Parsons is, and what we're seeing from him, and what's as you talked about those guys that we have in effect at the defensive end position with Armstrong, Law, Fowler, it's just the effect of Parsons now. Last year he was getting his numbers, but he wasn't having the same effect across the line of getting people their numbers. As I call them assists, right? But there's not assist sex, if you will, in the league. But now you're seeing Parsons, he's getting his numbers, but the way that he's affecting the game, he's allowing other guys to go out here and do certain things. Like LVE ended up with a sack, TC, Camber. I see y'all arguing back and forth here with the football hubby.
She's texting him right now.
TC has always known that LVE is my football hobby. And you tried to slide in there.
Yeah, that part. But, you know, even with Dorrance Armstrong, he's done some winning, but some of his, you know, one of his sacks for sure came off of the Parsons effect. And that's kind of really the thing, because you're able to move him around. And now, unlike last year in his rookie year, teams wasn't coming out, well, where is he at? What's going on? But this year, you're definitely seeing that effect from him where, oh, he's on this side, we got to shift to do this. Oh, he's in the middle, we got to think about doing this, which allows other guys to have an opportunity to get out here and win. And there happens to be a miscommunication on the O-line. Somebody's coming free, you know? So those are just the things that we're seeing, obviously, right now from Parsons and what's happening with this defensive front here with the Cowboys. To pivot around here, though, I don't want to keep you guys too long. We've been going for an hour and 25 minutes, so I don't want to keep y'all too long.
No, you good. It's a great
okay.
I got a quick
question. One quick question. Sorry, DT.
Yeah, go ahead.
The chat asked this like an hour ago, so I want to make sure I ask it.
Yeah, get it.
Gregory asked this question to you guys.
Okay.
We're 3 weeks into the season, so admittedly, it's probably too early to say this, but as of right now, what's the one position you guys want the Commanders to pull the trigger on in the first round of next draft?
Oh yeah, go ahead, DT. Answer that question.
Wow.
Answer it.
What time is? Hold on, let me check the date. Is it? It's not even. It's not even October yet.
Already talking about the draft, man. I mean, look.
Look. I will say after we beat the Giants, the Giants are 2-1. After we beat the Giants, a lot of their content careers went directly to the draft. So maybe it's a little foreshadowing here.
Hey.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just letting you know what I saw.
Man. So I watch a lot of college football, stuff like that. So obviously, with the corner situation, we could be looking at Kendall Fuller, William Jackson III, probably leaving free agency and stuff like that. I would invest in the corner group, develop St. Juice on the outside.
You can't have Joey Porter. I'm just letting you know. Anybody but Joey Porter.
Anybody but Porter. That part.
Hey man. Hey, I'm an Ohio State fan. But I'm gonna tell you when someone's a dog, and the guys I saw that were a dog, when I'm an Ohio State fan, were Micah Parsons, Jahan Dotson, and Joey Porter Jr. I gotta get me Joey Porter Jr. on the outside, man. I got to.
I don't like it.
You can't have Porter and Keely Ringo. Those are my two guys.
Yeah,
like anybody but them. I don't
anybody
care
but them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Caleb. What are you drafting here?
DT took it out of my.
Okay.
He took it. Yeah. DB. Yes.
Okay.
I want me personally. It's hard to find players like this.
Right.
But I want that lockdown guy. I want that guy that on that side of the field you cannot throw to him.
Gotcha.
When you have a guy like that, where you can just say, "Hey, do your thing. We don't got to worry about you. He gonna do his job." That's. I want to lock down DB.
You know,
that's me personally what I want. Or
I would say though, that's interesting because all I heard all week is how bad the linebacker position is for y'all.
Well,
one, and then two, how bad the offensive line is currently. But y'all went to corner. Just interesting look here.
Good point.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Well, what to speak on that next about the linebacker situation?
I'll mute myself. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Not to speak on that about the linebacker situation. We could upgrade the position at linebacker. Like I said earlier, I wish, especially in the space earlier, Knicks, when I said I want Ron Rivera to be aggressive, you need to be aggressive. Look what the Eagles did. They were aggressive and got guys that contributed to their squad. I wish we would have got Miles Jack and we would have signed him to a good deal. That would have been a great pickup for us. But we play a lot of big nickel and we put a lot of safeties down at the linebacker position. So when you see Cam Curl play down at the linebacker role, which he played a little bit at Arkansas, but he's a safety that can play that linebacker role, and he's our voice in the secondary. So people are now starting to go away from getting a linebacker, even though you should want to upgrade every time you can, no matter what position it is. I feel like you should always want to get your team to be better. I don't care if you won a Super Bowl. I don't care if you didn't win any games. You always want to make sure you're better every year. But that's why I didn't say the linebacker position, because we're kind of playing 3 safeties now. So we got that safety to come down and play that linebacker position. You know, as a little athleticism, a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he said the question was for Dallas.
I knew it was. I just wanted to ask the Washington guys.
Okay. I was like,
I didn't answer that anytime. So,
but yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Real quick, my guy Nick. I mean, I gotta go travel. to another building. I got a lot going on at work. I do apologize.
No, you good. Hey, tell the people. Hey, hold on. Hey, Cash. Tell the people where they can find you before you get out of here. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter, Desire DMV. I mean, I'm gonna changing my tag, but yeah, it's Desire DMV Cash Out. I mean, I appreciate all the Dallas fans having me out. Shout out to my boy Caleb, my man DT. I know.
Real quick, hold on, real quick, Cash. So me and Cash have a bet on the game. His name is Cash. His name is Cash. We have $40 straight up Cowboys versus Washington.
Yes,
if either team wins by 10 or more points, it's double up to the 80. Shout out to you, Cash. And look, just like his name, Cash, he wanted to bet Cash. These other 2 guys wouldn't give me no cash.
I gotta stand on my word, man. I gotta stand on what I say, man. Hey, hail to the Redskins, man. Good luck to y'all on Sunday, man. I mean, I'll be in space right after. Either I owe you money, you owe me.
We'll get it situated. All right, brother. Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your work night, man. Have a good weekend.
Y'all too, man. Y'all also appreciate it, though.
10-4. I got Red Zone has a question. Oh, hold on. Wait. Let me grab that question. Hold on. How effective is Parsons in the run game? Very. Very.
I was going to ask that earlier.
Very. Oh, very. Cam, very.
Lots.
There's nothing really he can't do.
No.
Like, I'm just being honest with you. Like,
I mean, I don't know a weakness besides
pass coverage.
Go dial up him manning up Galladay last year up there in MetLife and breaking up that bread. Facts.
No. The man, he has no stop to that motor. I don't know of a weakness he has.
Now, I do agree with you that Cam, like his athleticism is just so crazy. Like it's just so crazy. But that Bucks game last year, it seems like y'all didn't know what to do with him at first. Y'all kind of put him everywhere to see where he could thrive. And when you put him in pass coverage, he got the athleticism to stay with some of these players. Right. Like I've heard some Dallas fans say, Micah can play corner and line up with a receiver and go.
He has lined up his slot before. Not a lot, but he has lined up his slot.
He has lined up. Yeah.
Cornerback. He has. The thing about what happened
that kind of speed.
Yeah, what really happened for him last year basically was he was the green dot guy. And then after the Patriots game, we had a shift and they took the green dot and put it on Jaron Kearse. And then you saw Parsons explode. And then it turned into, as O's been talking about all night, it's been run ball, get ball, see ball, get ball. And that's just what he turned into. And that's what they evolved it into after they kind of got about 6, 7, 8 games in there. Let's get the dot off of him. Let's put him in spots and just go do that. And even Micah Parsons, even before he even got to that point, talked about he was just that see ball, get ball kind of guy. And Dan Quinn found a way to unlock that. It took him some games, like you said, Caleb, even into the first game. But look, he has some good coverage in the Bucs in his very rookie game. He has some good coverage where, I mean, they didn't catch the ball, but he was right there. But once they pivoted that green dot off of him and just freed him up to be, as he calls it, the rook on the chessboard and moved that piece, he's just everywhere. Look, I don't think everybody has a weakness somewhere in their game. Everybody does to a certain point. But if we're talking about coming forward, and we're talking about seeing the ball and go get the ball, whether it's a run game or the quarterback, I don't see it. Could you do some things in pass coverage for him and do something and find some things? Sure. But he hasn't showed it yet,
Yeah, so in terms of run defense, how he impacts that, if you care about PFF ratings, I know some people don't, some people do, they're hit or miss. He's our highest graded run defender this year. when you have 4.3 speed as a 245-pound player, like your ability to get sideline to sideline is crazy. What I would say though is I think you do, if you're a smart offensive coordinator, you do run the ball at him, and not because he's not good at run defense. It's because that's a way to slow him down in pass rush, because you can wear him down by having offensive linemen hit him repeatedly throughout the course of the game. And that's where that stamina factor comes into play. And when you're a freak athlete, whether you're a Lawrence Taylor, Micah Parsons, whatever name you want to throw out there, the more you have to play in the game, you're just going to get tired. It's human. Your human body, no matter how well conditioned you are, the NFL game is such a high-pace, high-speed game with so many lethal weapons on both sides of the field. You're going to get tired. So I do think you should run the ball at him, regardless of the fact that he is our highest graded run defender. And if you even throw PFF out, he's an impact player against the run. It's smart to attack him in the run game just because you're going to slow him down in the pass rush game, and he's even more impactful there than what he is against your run. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, man, Mike is a problem. Yeah, he's a problem. With
the follow-up, Red Zone says, some fans move the goalposts week to week, Knicks. It all depends on the latest game. Man, okay. Well, I mean, if that's the case, and Carson Wentz is about to get sacked 15 times if Philly got 9.
Yeah.
I mean, Philly's pass rush isn't exactly what the Cowboys is right now, but I mean, this is why you play the games week to week, man. Things definitely, they change, they do. I've talked about trap game. We don't get into that, but I think there's some definitely elements here for the Cowboys and watching the game. It could be a trap game for the Cowboys. Well, I don't need to rehash all that. If y'all follow me on Twitter, y'all seen it. I was at the space, talked about it earlier. We talked about it on Wednesday. Kim's having a husky crisis over there from Chris P.
He wasn't targeting. He led with his shoulder.
Oh, man.
I thought it was targeting person. I'm not even watching.
Yo, question for y'all, for the Cowboys fans. Now, how do you feel our D-line matches up with y'all O-line, as far as, especially the interior? Because I really feel like Daron Payne and John Allen can still continue their success that they've had so far this season, with them doing stunts and they're actually working together as a cohesive unit. I can throw another name out there like Montez Sweat, a freakishly athletic guy. Throughout the first 2 seasons, not first 2 seasons, first 2 games, he's led the league in pressures. He didn't have a good game against Philly. We really want to see him have that breakout game. He hasn't had it yet, but look at Red Zone. But how do you feel like your offensive line matches up with our defensive line?
Oh, Cam.
Yeah, I'll go.
Cam, focus on Washington right now.
Cam, I got you, Cam. You watch the game. I got your back.
The only thing I've got to say is that I have absolutely no worries about Zach Martin.
10-4.
You could put anybody in the league against Zach Martin, and I'm good. But yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, O.
Touchdown.
All right, so it's a totally valid question. You guys have an incredibly talented interior defensive line. You guys also have a guy that a lot of Cowboys fans were upset that we released in John Ridgeway. I don't think he's an impact or even plays a lot of snaps in this game, but he's on the roster. So, and to answer your question, our interior
there was no
line,
reason for my guy Ridgeway to catch that slug from you. Oh, my spirit animal did not need to catch that slug. He's not going to be active. He's not going to be active. He didn't have to catch that slug.
I had to acknowledge it. But okay, so to answer your question,
you guys have to take on the nickname that we gave him. The vanilla gorilla.
The vanilla gorilla. He actually has, and one of his. Hold on. Look, there's a picture. I'll send you the picture. One of his thigh pads literally has a gorilla. You can see it through the pants. It's a gorilla. Dead ass.
Yeah. All right. So to answer the question, our left guard situation right now is very much in flux. Is Jason Peters going to play a lot? If he does, it's his first start. If he starts at left guard, he's played a long time. He's a 40-year-old guy. Has been a high-level tackle. He's moving to a new position against one of the top defensive tackle tandems you're going to face in the NFL. Or is Connor McGovern, who played 7 snaps week 1 and is slated as the left guard coming off a high ankle sprain, if he starts, how is he going to match up? If it's Farniok, I can absolutely answer how we're going to do. It's not going to be well. It won't be well.
Right.
Our center position, Tyler Biatus, has been much better this year than last year, but he's not. He still has had he's not a great center yet, but he's getting better. He's improving. So to ask him to face either one of those two one-on-one and run blocking or pass blocking is tough. Zach Martin, Hall of Famer, incredible player, has not been that guy this year. He's been a very good right guard, but he's not been this like flawless right guard that we've grown to be accustomed to. So I don't know if that's just the early start to the season or having to partner a little bit more with Tyler Biatus to help him out. But Zach Martin, I know Cowboys fans are going to kill me for this, but just honestly, what I see on film, he's still a very good left or right guard, but he's not the guy that I saw the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying he's I guess I have to say he's regressing slightly, but not substantially. He's still very good, but he's more human than what he's been in the past.
I feel you.
Yeah, and kind of
what happens when you get 30 years old in the NFL.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and kind of what that boils down to, what I talked about throughout this week is simply the Cowboys run game, and we've seen them have the propensity to get the ball to the outside with some stretches and some different tosses or whatever. I think this is how you have to attack that defensive line for Washington. I think it's not really just bang your head against the door here up the middle against those guys at D tackle. I think it is about getting to the edge here, maybe more so with Pollard than anything else, but that's where we have to attack them, especially in the running game. Let's get some pull action out of the 12 personnel, do some certain things in that realm, be a little balanced on both sides where you're doing this in. The one thing that I definitely noticed the last week and a half, Kellen will call certain plays to the outside, but it's always to the short. They'll be on the whatever the hash. They'll do it to the short side of the field.
Short hash. Get
out of doing it on the short side. Start running. If you're going to run those plays, run the other way every once in a while. I know you want to tip your hand per se and say, well, it's open more over here. I'm going to do it all the time. But, bro, you're not doing it at all. So I would like to see them do that a little bit. But I definitely think playing against this line here against the Commanders is a little to the edge. Now, you still have to keep them honest and do some things up the middle. Hello, Zeke. Let's go get that battering ram on. But we do definitely make sure we need to attack y'all efficiently on the edges is what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of something that we have to improve in. Because even though last year Chase Young didn't get the sacks, but he was a top 10 run defender on the edge. So that's something
we have that guy. That's DeMarcus Lawrence to us to a certain extent. That's the guy that fans are like, why isn't he getting 15 sacks? But he's one of the best run stoppers in the league.
Yeah,
and he gets a lot of pressures.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that gets underrated because fans put so much emphasis on the sack number, but those pressures force bad throws. Those pressures force takeaway opportunities and things like that. So
it's not always about.
All right, guys, we've kind of talked in between different things. This game Sunday ends how? I'm gonna roll it out to our guests first. I'm gonna go with Caleb, and then I'm gonna go to DT. Caleb, how does this game end Sunday?
I'll give you a score prediction, and then I'm gonna be a little different. I'm gonna do a bold prediction too as well. I think this is going to be a low scoring game a little bit. I'll say 27-20. Of course, Washington, of course, 27-20.
27-20.
But it's going to be a game where I think it's going to be decided in the fourth quarter. And no, honestly, a classic rivalry game. Smash mouth football. I believe that's what it's going to be. Some defensive plays on both ends of the spectrum. My bold prediction.
Here we go. I love it. Give it to me.
Jahan Dotson is going to have.
You're trying to get into my skin. You're trying to get into my skin. I know what you're doing, Caleb. Go ahead, Caleb.
Jahan Dotson is going to have his first 100-yard game. He may not have a touchdown, but first 100-yard game. Bold prediction.
All right, Caleb. You said bold prediction. 100-yard game. I get it. It's early in his career. You got to throw a touchdown.
Yeah, it's early.
You got to throw a touchdown.
Put a little sauce on top. Put a little sauce on top.
That's bold. 100 yards and a tutty. Like that. I mean, go big, right?
It's a little bold. But I'm all for it. Why not?
All right, DT. How does this bad boy end? And give us a bold prediction. So far, I'm winning one of my bold predictions the last 2 weeks. I went out there on the limb. The Knicks guarantee was we're going to beat the Bengals. We did. And my number 2 guarantee was Turpin was getting a punt return for a touchdown. I'll be damned. That punter, man, look, there's no way that punter should have got him. I should have been 2 for 2, but neither here nor there. But DT, how's the game in? What's your bowl prediction?
Okay, so me talk about the game, right? I think for Washington's side, there's going to be a lot of motivation coming in this game. I think it's going to be a lot of emotions early, so it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm a man of my word. I've been on 2 podcasts, and I've been in the space. I said Dallas will win 24-20, and I'm going to keep it that way. If we win, we win. I'm going to be completely honest. I see it as that right now. I got Dallas winning 24-20. And my bold prediction, I say we get an interception.
Okay.
Call your shot. Who's going to get it?
Oh. Who gets the pick?
St.
I
Juice.
did to Caleb. I have to do it to you too.
St. Juice? Okay. I can respect that.
Okay. Well, you know, and look, and I got to respect it because, as I said, if y'all saw the tweet, he's picking Dallas, but we got a bet. We also have a bet, me and DT. The bet is for a profile picture. Now, his profile picture that he wants me to have is dadgum Daniel Snyder in the Timberlands. I gotta put Dan Snyder in the Timbs as my profile picture on Twitter. However, if we win, I got a nice swaggy pic when I was on the cruise in a blue light, like I was in Belly with the Cowboys cap on, and my face is going to be plugged on his Twitter account if we win. So even though he's picking us to win, my man is on the limb. He's rolling. He's holding it down, and he took the bet anyways. Let me pivot over to Camber. Are you okay? What's the score right now? Update us.
We're 9-7. We're down by 2 right now.
It's just two. It's okay.
Just 2. It's just 2. But like I said,
relax.
I know, but it's Chip Kelly. You guys, you have to understand. You have to understand my history with Chip Kelly.
It's true.
He coached Oregon. Those
Yeah.
Nike Trust Fund babies. I can't stand. Then he went to the Schmeagles.
Oh yeah.
Now he's here at UCLA.
He's just giving you problems everywhere, Cam.
Everywhere.
You can't escape
Like I
Chip.
said, he looks like the kid in class that ate paste.
All right. How does the game end Sunday, and what is your bowl prediction?
Y'all aren't gonna like this because, and I've said it on both my midday shows. Gut. This is just a gut thing. I went out there bad on you guys. I'm sorry. It's a gut. I went way out there. It's 42-6, guys. No.
Who's getting 42?
Oh, not you. Not this defense. I'm sorry. When I look at your offensive line, if I look at your offensive line and I see the way that Carson Wentz is played, and my bold prediction is there's 2 defensive touchdowns we're scoring. I'm sorry. It's a gut feeling. It's something in my gut. And I said it on both my shows. I don't get these often, but from watching the tape that I have and the way our defense is hitting, and Dan Quinn and Tank is doing his thing and Mike is doing his thing, and then Armstrong's over there going, "Hey, check me out."
Yeah.
I just sorry guys. I don't do this often.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's why I'm very surprised.
Really don't.
You don't. But you said 40-6, and your bowl prediction is 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hey, look, low key. I got to renegotiate my bet with Cash because if we win by like 30, it has to be more than double. I need the hundo. Neither here nor there. How do you see this game ending, and what's your bowl prediction, man?
Yeah, real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to one of the Washington fans who joined. We've all done spaces with her, Kim. Salute to you. Thanks for joining. She's great, so definitely follow her if you're not already. She does a lot of the Washington Twitter spaces. But all right, so I'm not at all with Cam. I would love for that to happen. I just don't. I honestly. So knowing Washington's giving up 27 points per game is exciting, but knowing the Cowboys offense has not really been explosive at all, I have a hard time going that route.
I get it.
I think it's more of a. I will say this, based on what our defense has done this year, facing off against two really good quarterbacks in Tom Brady, Joe Burrow. Definitely not throwing Daniel Jones into consideration, but we played two good quarterbacks. We've given up 3 total touchdowns. I would be surprised if Washington has more than 17 points. Knowing Washington's defense has given up a lot of explosive plays this year, I think the Cowboys will get more explosive plays, but we've had to settle for field goals because our offensive line has gotten penalties, taking us out of goal-to-go situations and things like that. I think you're looking at more of like a 24-17, 27-17, something like that. I'll go with 20.
Just being nice.
I'm going to go 27-17. 27-17 is a 10-point win, but it's close throughout the point of it. I'm going to say this, Nick. Tress Way is a very good punter. I would be absolutely shocked if Turpin's an impact player at all this week. I'm just throwing out there. He's definitely not my bold prediction.
Yeah.
No.
If I'm going with my bold
both teams have really good special teams.
They do.
And you was close. You was close last week when you're guaranteed.
Man, I saw the tea leaves. I'm like, the Giants
had a but it ended up being a field goal block. You were close. Excuse me.
All the tea leaves were there. I read it. I was like, not Miss Cleo because she was a fraud. Whatever psychic Twitter. I read it, man. I'm like, week 1 they had issues with a long snap messing up their extra point. They had to go for 2 later on. Right before our game on Tuesday, they worked out 3 long snappers. Like all the writing was on the wall. We were going to get a block. We're not going to get that against Washington.
I'll put you to bed, Caleb. Hang on.
My bold prediction is I think that Malik Hooker gets his first interception of the season. And the rationale behind that is because, like I mentioned earlier, Carson Wentz will throw downfield at a higher rate than a lot of other quarterbacks, even under pressure, because he kind of has that just F it mentality. I'm going to throw it. I know he probably will get sacked. I know he'll get pressure, but he will take his shots downfield. They have Scary Terry. They have Jahan Dotson. They have weapons, and he will just trust and rip it. I think Malik Hooker will get his first interception of the season. 27-17 Cowboys.
Put some sauce on it. Pick 6.
I'm not on that part. 27-17.
You gonna put a pick 6 on the Hooker pick?
Nope, not going for it.
Okay.
That's too bold.
That's one of the two I need. That's one of the two I need.
See, I was like, you got to make it more bold. It's not bold enough. He's always going to get the interceptions.
I went interception and the player. That's bold. I didn't.
All right. Fair enough.
Another thing, I'm glad that you mentioned us giving up big plays because, I think we're high on that rating, giving up big plays. But another thing is we've improved on a lot based off the past 2 years. Our third down defense is really good this year.
You have a higher success rate than Dallas right now.
Yeah. So I think we're ranked 5 in third down defense, if I'm looking at this correctly. And Dallas is 12th in the league.
Right.
So we, on both sides on the ball, on third down, our defenses are really good. I really think that for this game to see who's going to win, the third down conversion rate has to be high. In every game it should be high, but for this specific game, whoever makes the right reads on third down is gonna win the game. So
part of that, when you're talking about points per game too, part of that comes down to a game like last week when your offense turns the ball over on your own side of the field, like you're going to give up points like that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm the polar opposite of Cam's gut feeling. Maybe I'm a Warrior Ward.
I know it's fair.
Get
these
it's
often.
Fair.
I don't.
I know it's fair. I'll try to be very swift and quickly here. There's just a lot of different ingredients here for a trap game for me personally. You look at the team we're playing after Washington and the Rams, and it's easy to maybe look forward that. The Cowboys, you thought the season was over. They get 2 big wins and one on the road on the division. They're feeling great about themselves, right? In general. Washington, 2 bad losses the last 2 weeks, and they're 0-1 in the division. So this game theoretically means more for them right now because the season go really left. They don't get this win here. The Cowboys maybe, and the reason why I kind of say some of this too is Mike McCarthy to me has really came out in this week in his press conferences and said a lot of things to try to safeguard that. Like one of the things of talking about the run game, right? Because we kind of know Kellen Moore will have a couple of games and also maybe it'll change a little bit. But he spoke about the run game and what matters, the more swings at the plate. And these guys are, weapons that we have to use. And then you followed it up the next day. And he's like, and talked about the sacks with Washington giving up 9 sacks to the Eagles. And he was like, hey, look, man, I looked at it, but I didn't see it that way. He's setting the bar here for, hey, look, doesn't matter what really happened here. We got to stay focused and do things. The one pushback that I've gotten from certain people in general is like, well, if Dak was here, maybe that, right? So on and so forth. You know what I mean? Or if it was the backup quarterback, maybe. But I mean, we played the clip, Professor O, Cooper Clutch, right? Quentin Bowe. I'm playing with him in Madden, and things are happening. He's going to be at 70 soon. So I think just the propensity here for them to feel better about themselves and like they've turned the corner, they've saved the season. And we know for those that go to games in Dallas, the energy ain't the same at noon in Cowboys Stadium, ladies and gentlemen, AT&T Stadium. It's not. Not as the midnight, as the afternoon game or the Sunday night game or a Monday night game. The energy is very on noon games. Now, granted, Washington being here could put a little more sauce on that.
Well, and here's something that I noticed because I was at the Bengals game when everybody sold off their tickets. The country club, golf club, like the business guys in the 200 level, they're not there right now. They've sold their tickets off. I have never seen the 200 level yell and do the wave, and they were doing it with the Bengals.
We watched the games. They might be back though.
They might be, but from looking at ticket sales, it's the prices.
True.
It doesn't seem like it again. So I'm telling you, the vibe that was at the Bengals game was more so what I experienced in a very late season game for us when we were heading into the playoffs or the playoff games I've been to.
Gotcha.
So,
wasn't a noon game though, for what it's worth.
It wasn't. No, it was a 3 p.m. game, but
But again, like I said, I fully anticipate the Cowboys to win. I'm just like, there's a lot of ingredients. There's just a lot of ingredients here that I've seen and watching a ton of football my entire life that says this could be a trap game. Not saying it will be, but boy, it's there.
See,
but
I don't see it. I don't see it being a trap game because
if it wasn't if it was the Lions and not the Rams after them.
No, okay, so this is
but
my
you can look
theory.
past this team right now.
Theory why it's not.
Okay.
If we had last year's offense and this year's defense and rolling in with that kind of confidence, I would say, this absolutely could be a trap game. But because our offense, I still think, is a work in progress, and they're digging deep, and they're having to change everything, and they're very aware of what they're doing. And I don't see the defense and Dan Quinn letting them fall into that kind of mindset. I'm not looking at it as a trap.
I got you. But here's the thing, though, when we talk about this, the 2 games we won, though, and I know they're feeling good about themselves right now, they could have lost either game because you think about halfway through the third quarter, as good as this defense has been, you were down 13-6 and you had to scratch back, which is great. And you feel good about that. If you go back to the Bengals game, started out hot and it was very mediocre the rest of the way. And they came back and tied this thing up and you had to figure it out. So I think there's just look, again, I just think there's ingredients when we kind of break it down that gives us that. I do think the Cowboys win the game though still. I'm just saying you had to be, look, to quote old Bill Parcells, don't fall for the cheese. That's all I'm telling Cowboys. Don't fall for the cheese. You know, this team for this game, this isn't a win-all, be-all game here for Washington, but boy, it's about as close as you can come to in the game 4. You're 1-2, you're 0-1 in the division. It means a lot. The Cowboys will have to match that energy that they're going to come play with. And you talk about one of their big weapons in Scary Terry, who hasn't touched the ball in the first quarter, whether it's the second or the third quarter, depending on the game. I'm guaranteeing you now, they're going to look to get him involved early. The first 3 plays, he's getting the ball. I guarantee it. Wide receiver screen something, they're going to get him the ball. So the Cowboys early on have to match the energy that Washington's going to come play with, because Washington's going to come with energy because it means a lot for them. Their season isn't all the way on the line, but boy, it's about as close as you can come to a week 4 game. And that's just something that scares me because we've seen this thing. The Cowboys will go out here and beat somebody that you think they don't have no chance beating. Hello, Bengals. And then when it looks like a layup drill for the Cowboys, what you'll end up seeing is they lay an egg. Those things stick with me, and it worries me. But I do have the Cowboys winning because simply I look at the propensity of what the Cowboys have done. They're one of, 4 teams that have yet to give up 20 points yet. that doesn't bode well
Yeah.
for Washington. You know, it doesn't bode well for Washington on that front. So I think the Cowboys win this game. I've had a couple of different scores, but boy, I want 80 instead of 40. Can I get it to 10? Can I do 23-13, get it to 10 for the $80 bet for the double up? I can't do it that high. I'm going to go. I'm going 24. I'm going to go 24-16. Cowboys win the game. 24-16. Cowboys win the game.
I will say this though, Cam, if y'all do put up, if the score is 42-6, that's going to be a little demoralizing.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
No,
I know. Not only for the team but for us fans, it's going to be a little, because right now after the Eagles game, we were really pissed off. Me personally, it's cool if they lost to the Eagles. Okay, they lost, but at least have some fight. Like at least go out. Swinging.
But it was a bad stretch for y'all to a certain extent, right? In that second quarter, right?
We got outscored 45-0 in the first two.
But I mean,
in the first
the
quarter,
the other three quarters though against the Eagles, y'all give up zilch.
Yeah.
But I mean, neither here nor there. I feel you, Caleb.
Yeah, you know me, Nix, and DT knows this too. I want to see a whole complete game. Don't play good in the first half and then lay an egg in the second half, and vice versa. You need to play hot from the start to the end. I know that's hard to ask, but that's what great teams do. So
that DT, that's where y'all at right now.
That's find a way.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this, and my dad said this all the time. One thing you're gonna know in Washington, one side of the ball ain't gonna show up.
I'm gonna tell you now, and if that's the point, allow it not to be your offense to show up so we can do what we need to do and Kim get them 2 touchdowns. I can get this $80. On top of that, as y'all have seen me talk about when our guy Cash was here earlier, I got the bet with him. I talked about the bet that I have with DT, but me and Caleb also got a bet. Now, it is the profile pick on Twitter as well, but there's a little extra sauce, Caleb, that you threw in there. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't get my guarantee this week or my bold prediction. I'm going to go with. Boy, I'm torn between two things.
He gonna say something about Diggs, huh? Diggs
No.
gonna get a pick six.
No. I'm going. I think I'm going to go with. Tony Pollard has 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that's out there as bad as my score. You got
No, because the edge,
the edge, God,
150. Hey, go look what we did last week.
Yeah,
and I don't think y'all's edges and your linebackers are as good as the Giants. And if they attack it with that same game plan as they did last week, I think Pollard's going to get there. I'm going to go 150 yards. 2 touchdowns for Pollard. I wanted to go 1, but always going to tell me, well, that's not bold. So I went with 2. But I think he gets 150 yards. I think we've seen him get this. I think they're figuring things out. I think on the edge wise, they can go out here and get it done. So yeah, I think Pollard explodes this week. I just think he does. Who's the other edge for y'all?
They
have a former Cowboy. They have F.A. Abada. Like, isn't he one?
Yeah, we have him. It's a cycle of players. I don't think Casey Toohill's playing DT, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's playing.
I Kim. I hear you setting
the
edge. And I asked you about the
Williams.
linebackers, right? Because I asked you about the linebackers earlier this week. Y'all said, well, Cole's struggling, Davis, whatever, and don't talk about the other 2 guys is what I heard on the linebackers.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a cycle of guys. But like I said, players got to step up.
10-4, that part. But that's my bold.
They got to come out on fire.
10-4. That's my bold prediction. But back to our bet that me and Caleb have. He put the sauce on it. So I only do what. So they get like if I win, it's just Sunday after the game through Tuesday for them. But if I lose, I have to do Sunday through Tuesday for Caleb, and then I have to do Wednesday through Friday for DT. I got to go all week here. So you already know that my guy DT's got me with Dan Snyder in the dadgum the Tims, right? Now, Caleb, we're going to decide on a player. I'm going to put a vote up on Twitter tomorrow because I think I want Caleb to have Jerry Jones as his profile pick.
Okay.
Jerry Jones with Tim's.
Oh, okay. Let me find that. We want to find that.
It doesn't exist, but we can have somebody.
Yeah, we might have something happen.
Photoshop it.
Yeah. But I'm thinking Jerry Jones. But I'm gonna put a vote out for Cowboys Nation if we win. I'm gonna put Jerry Jones or player, and I'll let the community decide who I should let Caleb get if we happen to win. But the bonus on Caleb's is simply this: in our Twitter profile, we have to use the hashtag, either hashtag Dallas Cowboys with the star, or, and it did painstakingly, I've never done this before unless I did Hail to Tony Romo back in the day, the HTTR is the only time I used it. I had to use it because our guys were coming through. I was like, let me let the Commanders fans know. And I had to put it in my dadgum tweet and said, hashtag HTTC. But I did, but that'll be in my profile as well. So we have to, that's the extra sauce on our bet, Caleb.
I got a player actually next. It's
okay.
2. So
no, you got to pick one. You can't pick 2. You got to pick one.
No.
It's between 2.
Yeah, I got to decide between the 2. So it's got to be Sean Taylor hitting Terrell Owens.
That's fair. Don't you dare say the Vanilla Gorilla though. Don't do that to me.
Nah.
Okay.
Or our great London Fletcher is sacking Tony Romo. One of those. I got to choose between one of those.
Should I throw Rowdy into this? Should I?
Yes, Rowdy with Tim's on. Somebody, we have a lot of talented graphic designers. Somebody make that. I hate Rowdy with the passion, but I would like to see Rowdy with Tim's on.
Okay, look, I'll throw. So I'll make the poll 3: Cowboys player, Jerry Jones, or Rowdy. Do I throw? I don't know. I don't want to throw Steven in there. I don't care. So those are the 3 I'm gonna throw in there for the thing. I'm not going to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. We've been rocking over here now for 2 hours and 5 minutes, man. But again, now that we're going a little bit earlier, we go a little bit later with you. We appreciate everybody that coming through, rocked with us. Shout out to all of our super chats tonight, coming through with us. Shout out to everybody that came up on the panel, asked questions, did everything. And of course, first and foremost, man, shout out to the Commanders. I wish my guy Cash was still here, but he had a bounce. Shout out to DT, man. Shout out to Caleb. Real quick, before I get to our salutes and salutitudes, tell the people where they can find you. I know we've already been dropping it here in the links and everything, but maybe you want to plug something or where they can find you, go right ahead, DT, and I'll get to Caleb after that.
Yeah, so on Twitter, you can follow my personal Twitter page at D Cleveland Jr. My other Twitter page is my podcast page at Darius Ricks. Also follow me on Instagram at Cleveland Jr. _Sensei, and follow my YouTube channel at Darius Ricks. I'll be dropping an episode after Week 5 NFL in review through the first 5 weeks of the season.
10-4. Caleb, whatever you want to plug, roll out, where to find you, go right ahead, man.
Yeah, for me, you can just follow me on my Twitter. I'm a basic guy. But not only do I just talk sports, I also have my own business. If you want to check out some of my photography stuff, I'm big on that.
You're a photographer?
Oh, yes. 5-time published photographer, by the way.
So am I. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So definitely,
Caleb, real quick before you go too far, you didn't tell us what your Twitter is. You said find me on my Twitter.
I got you. It's Caleb Justin, but the A in Caleb is an X, and the U in Justin is an X as well. So it's CXLEBJXSTIN. You can follow me on there, hit me up on there. I'm a chill guy. So hey.
Yeah. 10-4. And also, if you go on Twitter, you follow me when I retweeted about who was coming through tonight. You can find all these guys there as well. If you don't remember what they said or how many times we posted it, you go over there, you can click it, find them immediately, and go from there. Salute to you guys. Cam, update us on the Washington game.
Okay.
How we doing? Is it shot time? Do I need to take a shot? Oh, God bless. All right, Cam.
Is
that Casamigos?
Don't worry about what it is.
No, it's absolute pear.
She has to watch the game.
Oh, okay.
She has to watch the game. Casamigos, she ain't gonna make it. Just being honest. All right, Cam.
It's 16-10, but we're early in the second.
Oh, you're trending.
Oh, y'all are fine.
Okay. All right. Little shots.
Okay, people laughing at my name. Let me bring some clarity.
Yeah, crazy.
Cam, by all means, midday due diligence, everything Cowboys related, and of course, can I tease maybe something for Pick 6 or no? Can I tease or no? Not yet.
Do it.
So if y'all don't follow Camber, aka Too Much Camber, on Twitter, there's only one other thing that rivals her love for LVE. and that's gasoline and rubber, aka racing, aka NASCAR. And something we'll be adding to the channel soon is a cast delving in that realm with automotive sports and NASCAR. Cam has a great co-host that's going to be joining her. I'll allow her to roll out that red carpet for the said person that you do have. I'm excited to watch that my damn self.
Right. So yeah, it's still in the works right now. We're actually winding down the NASCAR season. We're full into the playoffs. But I do have a gentleman who is the engine tuner for Kyle Larson, the current NASCAR champion at Hendricks Motorsports. He will be joining me as my co-host, and we're going to be rocking it out and talking some race fuel and rubber, and rubbing is racing, boys.
Hey, and other things, but man, I can't wait. I'm excited for that to get added to the channel.
I gotta listen
as we
to
told
that.
you on the very beginning, as we were pivoting over here to Pick Six, it's going to be Cowboys, but we're trying to attack this thing in a lot of different ways, and I cannot wait to see that as we're working on the back
I
end.
never
And of course,
heard NASCAR stuff before. That's
you
interesting.
gotta hit the sub and make sure
Yeah,
you're in the know.
Yeah, our race was here this weekend. I actually shot the race. I was down there in the pits shooting it. Yeah, it's a giant passion of
That's
mine,
dope. That's
and
dope.
so yeah,
I gotta tune in too because I don't know. If I was like commenting on NASCAR, I'd be like, "That car's going really fast." And
Yeah,
that car's
hey, it
also
turned
going really
left. It
fast,
turned
and-
left again. It kept turning left. I know a little bit more because of my dad, but yeah, I feel that.
Right.
Lightning
and
McQueen.
we're gonna be a great show because we're gonna break it down. And what people don't understand is I get a really very common comment that they go fast and they turn left.
Right.
This
We
is a
just did
very
that, yeah.
smart. This is a very smart person sport. When you start getting into, these cars go into wind tunnels. The engine tuning on itself. They've got these. I mean, they hire engineers. It's way involved. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Hey man, shout out to Rich Gang. Mendoza was absent. I got TC was holding down. TC, man, get up out of here, man. Chill out. Look that TC be the main one. Oh, as soon as we end the show, space. Are we gonna run a Twitter space afterwards? Hold it down, TC. I got you. Hey man, shout out to my guy J. Lou in the house, man. Classmate, high school classmate chiming in, man. Appreciate it, man. And having my back, even, Eddie O. Cool. I'll tell you what, I got time tonight because we went earlier. I will pivot up out here. We'll do some space work as well. DCB Late says, I say 34-17, but I think our defense won't let them score 17. Fair enough. I mean, again, the defense doesn't get up 20. I think anything under 20 is fair, but again, hey, just think about it. Just think about it. Space, think of the TC. Professor O, obviously roll out the red carpet because obviously the work you do here is fantastic. But you got some work some other places too, brother.
Yeah, so you can find me on Pick Six Sports every Wednesday night and Friday night. I usually join the midday show, but I'm at work, so I'm just a mod admin chat follower at that point. Written work, I have an article that should be released tomorrow morning on Cowboys Wire, so that's usatoday.cowboyswire.com. It is an advanced stat notebook breaking down the Washington Commanders and the Cowboys based on EPA, DVOA, toxicity, and adjusted net yardage per attempt. I know that sounds like a lot of nerd geek stuff, but it's interesting. Check it out because all four of those are the biggest win probability factors outside of turnover differential that you can get. So it's out there so you can read, and I explain what that stuff means. So if you're into stats or interested in knowing a little bit more about stats, I do it on a weekly basis. And I have an article next week, which I haven't told the editor KD about, so I'll tell you guys first. Next week, I'm going to start doing our year-to-date differential based on last year. So it's going to be a whole article. But it's going to be an article based on the first 4 games last year for the Cowboys in terms of net yardage, turnover differential, sacks, adjusted net yardage, EPA, DVOA, all of that stuff versus last year's team. We're just going to do it on a quarterly basis as the season goes on.
They intercept.
10-4 and O.
Shout out.
O. Your call. Maybe update on maybe something soon happening, perhaps in the wheelhouse, or we need to hold that. We need to tuck that.
I was thinking more like halfway through the season, but yeah, Yeah, we got something coming.
Okay. All right. Cool. We'll
we came up with our own stat. We're gonna drop that, so it'll be fun.
Oh, I'm talking about personal, sir.
Oh.
I'm talking about personal.
No, we're holding that one for sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah, in the business we call that a teaser. Come back, figure it out when we're going to drop not one but two things there for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Very simply, right there on the bottom, man. Your guy Nix __NIX, man. Come over there, follow me as always. I'm out there. I'm literally, I think now somewhere around like 90 away from 4K. I can't even believe it, man. About 2-3 years ago, I might have had 150 followers. So, man, shout out to everybody that rocks with me, man. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, man. I appreciate everybody that comes over here and rocks with us on this side and the different guests we had, top, bottom, left, right, everything. It's been a fun ride. I appreciate everybody rocking with us through the transition from the Star Gang into this with that, because sometimes you can lose some people and not figure things out. Oh, it went bad. It went bad. It went bad over there. Don't worry. We'll talk about it on the other side. But once again, man, thanks everybody. It is always, as TC just said, me hit the like button, hold on. Hey, it's $3.99 to share. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, man, I see someone laughing in the comments about my name, and I need to bring
wait. Oh, no, wait. Where? I mean,
he said, put some respect on my name. Go ahead. Tell him.
Who laughed about the name? Wait. I'm trying to find out who laughed.
Yeah, wait.
That's probably TC91.
Someone said Cleveland. Yeah.
If it's TC, I will knock him.
Hey, so look, Nick knows this. Cleveland Jr. is my band name. I march at a historically black college and university. I was a tuba section leader, and my rookie year, they named me Cleveland Jr. So you got to put some respect on that. It's a tuba thing.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah. And first and
follow
foremost,
Caleb and follow Darius. They're both
great. Yeah. And first and foremost,
I just did. Follow both.
No, yeah. First and foremost, no matter what, man. I don't know who put that up there. I ain't seen it. TC said it wasn't him. Whoever did that, man, when we got some guests in here, man, be respectful, Pick Six fam.
Right.
Man, we're bringing people up here to entertain and do things and talk about the game that we love that most. You know, I mean, we can have tongue in cheeks and talk something that's not personal. On the personal side, man, don't do that here. Come on, man. We're better than that this way. With that being said, guys,
it's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah, no, but you know I do the space and stuff. Like, no, we don't have time for that, man. Yeah, I mean, look, we can have fun. We can troll a little bit. Don't do personal stuff, though. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Only personal thing is going to be is you're going to just have my face as your profile pic on Twitter after we win. Simple as that. We keep it right there. That's all. And as a guy TC says, only personal because you don't like LVE. See, Cam, I don't know. You got to work that thing out. We got to work this thing out.
Cage match, LVE and TC.
Oh,
let's go.
Sign it up. Oh. You're going to be in trouble if TC wins, though, Cam. I'm just saying, just to put it out there.
I'm just saying, cage match. I've seen the man feed a bear a fish.
I mean, you feel me? Wild. That part.
But we haven't seen the man get off blocks.
Oh, that's true.
Shots fired.
Hit
that quick. Yeah, I feel you. Hey, look, College Shape showed that. We well, if you would have known me, then me and you would have been both like, this dude can't get off blocks, because that was my thing about it. But hey, keep him clean. He makes plays, Cam, and that's okay. And guess what, Cam? Look, here's
we got Quinn Bohanna doing that.
And you know what? We're gonna shout out. He's had the green dot.
Well, he had it. Well, Hooker had it last week though, but he had it the week before. You're not wrong.
Right.
And here's the other thing that we know about Cameron. Cameron ain't going blocking. Say less. And on that note, she ain't blocking you. So there it is. We'll catch y'all. Make sure post game maybe we'll see definitely space for sure. But hey, give me 10 minutes. And we're running space for a little bit. I will not record this thing because I will not be responsible at this point because Cam's got to be taking shots. What's going on with Washington? This can't be nowhere. This ain't recorded. I ain't doing that. I'll see y'all in 10 minutes.